Oh my, I'm good. I'm good. I'm chilling. I have I have this little like this little scab just on the inside of my left nostril where my cat like accidentally scratched me at one point when he was just like laying down next to me and like kneading my face, you know? And rip it off. I know it's so hard to like not do anything to it. I'm just leaving it as best I can, but oh, I'm like so tempted to touch it all the time. So I'm good, but I'm willing myself from doing that because I'm one of those people who's like if I have a scab anywhere, I will rip it off every time if I'm not actively trying not to. Like if I don't think about it, I will just do it. So I have to sit here and like practice mindfulness or whatever as hard as I can to just keep myself from like doing that. I pick at everything. Anytime I've gotten sunburned in the past, ripped all the skin off, all of it. I was never a nail biter or anything like that, but like my lips I would always pick at, things like that, you know. I'm a lot better now because I just will myself from doing it, but you know, if I don't pay attention or if like I don't realize when I have any anxiety in my body. I really don't realize it because I don't like feel it mentally, but I'll notice certain physical habits sometimes, and it's stuff like I'll pick at skin or something, right? And I'll go like, oh, I must be anxious because like this thing or that thing, right? But I don't like feel that way. But you know, you get older, so you spend time with yourself, and you're like, okay, well, these are my habits then, right? About the same till you did shrooms. Oh, dude. I don't have the content labeling on that lets me talk in depth about that stuff, but I've had some friends go through some things with that. Ooh. Ooh. All right, I gotta answer 2 DMs and then we're good. Okay. I'm talking to Alma about we wanted to plan something for a thingy, so I'm just not leaving her hanging and DMing her back real quick. There we go. There we go. Did you ever put glue on your hands and let it dry and pick it off? I wasn't really the type to do that because I think when I was younger, especially, I was afraid. I didn't know what glues were like okay to touch and what weren't. So I remember kids putting like Elmer's glue on their hands, and I'd be like, you shouldn't touch that. Because I was aware that some glues or some other things could be like toxic to you, especially back in the day. There were more things that were toxic, and I'd be like, do you know what's in that? Like I didn't understand, you know, when I was younger that certain types of glue are like absolutely made for kids to touch because they know they're gonna do it. You know what I mean? So I remember I like never did that because I was like, there's toxicity, and you remember, you know, like I was paranoid. I was just paranoid. I was. There were certain adhesives and things that I remember my dad having that he would, you know, he would be like, yeah, don't ever touch this one. Like, do not. And I just like didn't know what was that and what wasn't that. So I just I was like, you can't touch any of them. So I actually like never did the glue on hand peel it off thing because I because I didn't trust any of it. And I distinctly remember that. I was so paranoid. So paranoid that I would like die from it. Anyway, anyway. Welcome on in. Do you remember if you, when you were a kid, the bottles were labeled as non-toxic yet? Yeah, there was a time period where at some point they started making things non-toxic or labeling them as non-toxic or doing standards for that or whatever when they realized that you couldn't stop people from having certain things in the classroom. But before that, they were toxic and they'd be like, just have the teachers have them take care of it, have them teach the kids. But no, they would hand glue sticks to like 3-year-olds. So, you know. Your mom taught you not to touch chemicals by taking you to the lab, and she would show you the hole in the floor where one of the grad students spilled something. Yeah. I remember in high school, I had a science teacher, chemistry guy, who had above his desk, like you know those ceiling tiles that a lot of schools have, a lot of buildings have because they're easy to replace. Those ceiling tiles, he had those. They kind of look like foam. And one of the ones above his desk just had this huge, like, circle. It looks like an explosion scorch mark. And that stuff was just, like, eaten away and melted. And it looked like it was just destroyed above his desk. And he was like, remember, kids, don't touch these things. Don't touch those things. I thought it was so funny, dude. We all understood. We were like, okay. It's not the way. And we shouldn't be touching these things. You've seen kids eat whole glue sticks? Yeah, the thing is sometimes the colors or the way they look, it looks like food. I noticed recently the glue sticks mostly, and this might just be me, I feel like they're mostly purple now instead of white or clear. I feel like they're mostly purple. And I wonder if it's because purple is not automatically a food color, right? Maybe candy, but it makes you think. Whereas something that's just white, it looks like a cheese stick or something, right? I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it's purely purple so you could see it on white paper. I don't know. But I wonder if there's like a reason, right? You stole magnesium from your secondary school with the intent to play with it? Oh my god. Yeah, no, I've mentioned this before. My dad, when he was young, was doing something stupid, and some other kids were playing literally with fire with like kerosene and being dumb, and he has really bad burns up his legs. I've talked about how he's like skin grafts on like the backs of his thighs and stuff. Is mostly 2nd-degree burns and everything. So he would show me that when I was little, and he would be like, this is why you don't do XYZ, and I would literally see like his cooked legs, you know. so I'd be like, okay. I was made really wary of that stuff pretty early. Yeah, the butt skin. Yeah, they grafted skin from his butt when he was a kid. And they put that on there. And then he'd make it weird every time. He'd be like, that's my butt skin. From when I was a kid. I'd be like, can you not make it weird? He'd be like, it's my butt skin. He just keeps saying it. So stupid. I remember a kid biting into one of those gel pens. Oh, ooh. I remember, what was it? It was an eraser. It was just an eraser. And they, you know, some erasers are scented. Not very common, but especially back in the day, everything was scented with school supplies because they thought it was cool or whatever. New tech, scratch and sniff things, you know, whatever. I remember some kid having a scented eraser, and it just smelled so good, and he would just sit there and bite it and like drool. Like he'd just be like chewing it, and he, you know, smelling it through his nose, so you'd get like the faux flavor. You know, when you smell something and you're just drinking water, the water almost feels like it tastes like that because those senses are kind of mixing, crossing in that moment. He'd be doing that with the eraser, just chewing on it and sniffing it, and he'd just be drooling so hard. Oh, it's so bad. LaCroix, exactly. Yeah. It was so bad. Gross, dude. Gross. And he would just like chew on that thing like crazy. He'd like bite down through it. He had one spot in it where he'd bite through it constantly, and I was like, that's you can't save some people, you know? You really can't. Really want to know what that kid's job is now. I'm trying to think if I know. I don't think so. Because I moved around a bit and I stayed in contact with some people. I don't think I know what he does, but you know, some people start off like that and end up exactly where you think they will. Some people start off like that and end up in a wildly different spot, you know? He could be anything. He could be an astrophysicist. He could be, you know, who knows? We don't know, man. It's worse than Chef Club videos. Oh, nothing's worse than Chef Club videos. Nothing. Nothing in this world. In college, your whiteboard had chocolate-scented erase markers? Chocolate? I feel like chocolate-scented things never smell like chocolate to me. That's one of those ones that doesn't work. That and anything that's supposed to smell like sugar. Right? There are a lot of women's perfumes and things that are apparently sugar-scented. And to me, they just don't. It's just like a sickeningly sweet sensation, but it doesn't smell like sugar because sugar doesn't really have a smell. Brown sugar kind of does, but even then, it doesn't always smell like that. Yeah, they smell like vanilla. I feel like they mix that in no matter what, every time. But they're so strong. I can't do it. I can't do it. So bad. Chocolate scent always smelled different closer to coffee. Yeah. Something about it's always kind of always weird. I don't know. Not a fan. Not a fan. I'm good. I'm good. Sugary perfumes are too strong for your nose. I never got into perfumes in general. I remember someone gifting me one a long time ago. And what I did was I wrapped it in like a bunch of paper and put it in my drawer. And I never sprayed it on anything. I just left it in there and it very lightly would leach out a scent onto the clothing. But I had to like take it out occasionally because I felt like it was still too much. I don't know, but I'm really sensitive to smelling like anything. I don't like smelling like anything, you know. I don't enjoy that. So if it's a tiny amount of scent, it's okay. But if it's like moderate, it's already too much for me. So I would leave it in the drawer for a short bit, like a day, and then take it out, put it in a closet or something. And after a while, I was like, this is annoying to manage. I don't want to manage this anymore. I'd rather forget about it. No thanks. You're a perfume hater. I don't like it. Cologne and perfume it's better than smelling like ass. If you're a person who's very naturally musky and you feel like your natural musk is not that good, then okay. But if you yourself don't really smell like much, I don't get the reasoning for wanting to make yourself smell like something. I don't know. I like imagine a cloud around a person. Right? I visualize that a little bit. When they smell strong, I'm just like, you're exuding right now. And I don't like it. So I tend to avoid it. Yeah. Even if it smells good, when you get close to somebody, sometimes it's just too much. Don't hate it, I just can't handle how strong they are. Yeah, if they always smelled the way they do when you're 10 feet away from a person, I think it'd be fine. But most of them are just too strong. Way too strong. Ooh, you had a chewing thing? You had a glow stick and chewed through it. Grossest thing you ever tasted, had your tongue glow for a bit. Oh, no. I feel like every kid has tried something crazy. Every kid has done something. I remember one time seeing something on some device somewhere, touching it with my finger and touching it to my tongue. It was battery acid. It was a tiny amount of it. It was a bad time. Didn't know that. But every kid's tried some stupid shit. Thankfully, I didn't lick it directly, so that, you know, it wasn't like a crazy amount, but still, not good. Do you get a headache from too strong smells? No, I don't have like an actual issue. It's just me complaining that I don't like it. But I don't get headaches or an allergic reaction or anything like that. I just go, wow, that's strong and I don't like it. That's it. I do know some people that do get headaches though. So I try to be mindful of that. I feel like it's good that I don't like those kinds of scents because I do know a lot of people that are like, yeah, I can't handle this, like straight up. They have an issue with it, so. What if it's quite subtle? That's usually fine. I just find that most of the time when I notice it, it's not subtle, you know? I think if you do the thing I did where you wrap it in paper and leave it in a drawer, maybe it would come off a bit more subtle. But I think most people apply directly, and that's usually the issue, right? I guess. I don't know. Can't wear oil-based perfumes since it gives you asthma. Yeah, I mean, the reality is with a perfume, the reason why you're able to smell it is because particles of it are in the air, right? And when you spray them, there's some sort of aerosoling effect, right? But that's not just putting it in the air. They're formulated to have these kind of slow release molecules that are holding a bit of whatever's producing the scent and then float around. It's usually alcohol based. And that's why a lot of people have issues with it or causes problems. It's either oil based or alcohol based or a few other things like that that cause people to be sensitive. And you're just introducing more of that into the air. And if someone's not sensitive, they're just like, oh, I don't like it, whatever. But some people, they breathe that in and they just have a fucking problem, So I try to be mindful. I think, just drop something. I think the thing I do like is if it's really subtle, straight up normal classic aftershave smell. But also that's not usually a perfume, right? That's just the scent of the aftershave left, which is technically a perfume, but it's something that's already been rinsed off a little and it's what's left. It's not like ooh, I applied this to smell like this kind of thing. Or actually, no, I guess aftershave, you do kind of leave it on. Depends. But they'll make it in products that people will often rinse off, and that kind of, allegedly allergies are caused by a lack of parasites. I'm not sure that is. I don't know that that's proven. I've like heard that that's a theory, but I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't know how much that's proven versus that's like suspected, or is that, tiny data set proven but not widely proven. I don't know. I assume it's more the standard immune response, right? And not just lack of parasites. Though I think, something I've seen with allergies is we still don't understand the gut at all, realistically. There's a lot that's not understood. So a lot of things with hormones, a lot of things with allergies, et cetera, they're still finding weird linkages between those and gut flora. So, it could be anything until we fully understand the body. There could always be some unknown, for sure. You think we're better off without parasites? No, there are tons that are normally in or on your body that are supposed to be there. Although it's not always parasitic, it's like more so symbiotic relationships, like the little mites on your eyelashes and in your eyebrows and things like that. They're there, and it's fine. They're removing dead skin, if anything. It's okay, Try not to think about them too hard, but yeah, they're your friends. Something aside me, please. I mean, you're filled with bacteria. Like, absolutely filled with it. So you're supposed to have that. Parasitic is defined by it not being symbiotic in some way. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, most things that are in you that are organic are going to be, most of them, properly symbiotic and not like proper parasites. For sure. But there are things that are just going to be there that are, yeah, they might be parasitic, but they're not super harmful. That's when you should care. Is it you thinking or the gut bacteria? Yeah, me and my gut hive mind have decided XYZ. Solid percentage of your body mass is foreign bacteria. Yeah, it's a surprisingly high number, right? I don't remember what it is. Let me look. It was like a really high percentage. What percentage of human mass is bacteria? Yeah, 1 to 3%. The fact that it's even over 1% is like a crazy thought. 1 to 3% of your mass is that. But because their size is tiny, they outnumber your own cells because they're much smaller than your own cells. They're really like small. But yeah, they outnumber they outnumber everything else. They don't make up more of your body weight, but it's cool. You're only 99% you. Yeah. Well, it's your mass. I mean, they're not you, but maybe they are. Maybe if you listen to them, I don't know. Maybe if the hive mind, maybe you have a gut flora grave mind that speaks to you. And when you do something and you don't feel like yourself, it's just the grave mind influencing you. You just didn't know. You just didn't know. A cool thought, man. It's a cool thought. For sure. For sure. Oh my God. I'm starting to sniffle because of the nose thing. Ugh. Ugh, okay. This is what they mean by gut feeling. Yeah. Yeah, when you consult the grave mind to see what you should do instead of listening to your brain. My fecal grave mind. I didn't do it, officer. I was influenced. The Grave Mind Council has spoken. Hi, mind told you to eat the cookies. I mean, there's a good amount of thought behind, and they're currently researching cravings being kind of decided or influenced, I should say, by your gut flora, right? And looking into how much that affects your body thinking it needs a certain thing. And obviously there will be things like, wow, I'm thirsty because I need water. Because your cells don't have enough water available, right? Or certain processes, you start to feel thirsty because certain processes aren't happening the same way, et cetera, et cetera. But there are other things where they feel like maybe some of those cravings are affected by the gut flora more than just anything else in you. So it's interesting. It's very interesting. And I don't know, what the truth of it all is. They're still researching, but at the end of the day, if my body craves something, I try to figure out a reason. I try to listen to it. Now, obviously, if it's like, you should eat 10 more cookies, like maybe we don't need to. But in general, if I'm like, oh, I really want to eat something salty, like I tend to listen to that. I really do. And I find that when I take vitamins and eat properly, if I have like a really good, really balanced week food-wise, I don't really get any cravings during that week. So I've noticed. So it's interesting. It's interesting. You had a science teacher in high school mention a theory that attraction is linked to your body's bacteria being compatible. It could be a lot of things. I think the thought there was because we do know the gut flora can influence hormones a little. They were thinking that the pheromones that you give off, the scent that you give off, could be affected by that, right? That's part of, from what I've read, that's part of that school of thought, which is cool. So I guess it makes sense, I guess. But people think about a lot of things beyond that too. So it influences it, obviously, but think of how many people just meet online and are like deciding that they like this person without having met them, right? There are other factors. There are other factors. For sure. You are what you eat. It's true, if you eat a lot of one thing, you start to smell like it a little bit. Or you start to smell a certain way. That makes it obvious that you eat a lot of that thing. It's true. Google says the gut bacteria of people with schizophrenia differ from those of healthy people. I assume there's probably a lot of things like that. And it's just a matter of if they've taken enough samples to check, because they have to literally like poop sample people, so how much research have they really done, I wonder? Probably not a ton, but they find out their guts are incompatible and all falls apart. Oh, could you imagine if it was reliant on that? Oof. Oh yeah, did the results say to Google AI? True. You know what I saw that YouTube did, which I think is one of the examples of AI that I like. Because I don't think it's a thing to always shit on, but there are a lot of like use cases where I'm like, yeah, I don't like that. They added a tool to help you research what would be good for you to make content wise faster. It doesn't make the content for you. It just tells you, like, it takes data that it already has, and it takes videos that are working, so it's using its own data set, and then giving you ideas on some video titles or video ideas that you could make that your audience would probably want to watch. It's very interesting. It's one of the uses, again, that I think is like what it should actually be for. I don't know how good it is, right? But the fact that it's trained on its own data set, and it's using its own data to just make these assumptions. It's looking at videos that people have posted to see what tends to work, and it's like, hey, this would probably work. It's, in my opinion, not too far off from a person spending a lot of time doing the same research and finding the same things, right? Except it's using its own data more, so I feel like it probably has more evidence to think what it's thinking. I don't know. It was very interesting. I don't know how much I'll really use it because I tend to come to those conclusions myself, but it's one of the few times I got AI jump scared, but was like, oh, but this is okay though. You know? Like, I get it though, you know? I wasn't immediately like, why is there something, something? It was just like, it was fine, right? It was fine. So, it was interesting. It's very interesting. Factorio YouTuber you follow posted some examples and they were bad. The ones that it gave me were actually pretty good. So I think maybe it's good from certain or on certain channels and maybe not on others. I think it tries to generate some thumbnail examples that you could use, and I think those are not good. I think those are not good. But everything else with the word choices aren't too bad so far. But that's just what it's showing for me. I don't know if any of you use your YouTube channels like that, but I'm curious to know if it's good for you or not. Does it work for you? I don't know. It's very, very interesting. Very interesting. Kind of feels like something they already had and slapped AI on the end of it. Yeah. Well, people really do a bad job of classifying what is and isn't AI. Like, they do a terrible job of that. And it's become so when people try to work in tech and they start looking at job listings, these job listings will say, you should be familiar with this, and that. We use AI to do XYZ. But they use AI and machine learning like buzzwords, and the thing that's being done is really like a simple script of some kind that's using data from their own data set. There's no actual AI. But a lot of companies that sell tech services will tell these executives or whoever's doing the hiring that they use AI and machine learning to make it sound fancy to do a thing, instead of going, oh yeah, we use scripts, right? So then when those people turn around and are hiring someone to do that thing, they're like, we need someone who's familiar with AI and machine learning, but it's not AI at all. It's not the same technology. Yeah, what you said. These days, algos get mixed up with AI almost constantly. Yeah, an algorithm is very different from what AI is doing, but they'll mean that, but they'll say AI in like a job listing, and it became buzzwordy, and too many things that aren't AI at all or machine learning at all get presented as if they are, and they're literally not. They're literally not, and it's just horribly misrepresented in that world. I've had friends come to me because they're like, hey, I want to get a job in this thing and that thing. Can you help me do my resume, whatever? And several people have been like in a panic because they're going, oh, so many job listings in my field are saying that I need to be able to do this. I need to understand machine learning. And I'm like, you actually don't. With everything that they listed out here and what this job is, you definitely do not. Like, they're definitely not using that for this thing, you know? But it freaks people out sometimes. It makes them think they need to be an expert in that field, but it's not. It's not at all. Like when they call a storage server the cloud. Yeah. They have one singular dedicated server with their storage, and they're like, we're gonna upload it to the cloud because it's not stored on their own hard drive. Yeah. You're a data scientist? Yeah. I'm sure you've run into it a lot. It's bad. And it's not just like the field of data science that deals with that. It's every little programming job. They're understanding AI and ML plus. They all like write that at the bottom now of every job listing. It's crazy. It's crazy. Ugh, you had a professor dead on tell you they added AI and ML to vacancies to entice applicants? Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, it's I've seen a lot of that. And it's just there aren't that many people realistically that actually work in that field and day to day use or create AI tools when it comes to like the tech field. That really, it's not a high count of people, but the number of job applications or listings that will ask for it is like too damn high. It's crazy. It's crazy, the disparity. But whatever, it ain't real. That's all you need to know. It ain't real. You saw a job listing for a game company and they clarified it's programming character AI and not AI like prompts. Yeah, it's different. It's different. It's very different. Oh, you have an AI as a DM assistant. A D&D server for a PhD project uses that. That's cool. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff where I like to see those tools get developed and everything. When it's used as an assistant for someone, the person's still doing the job, but it's helping them. It's helping them by consolidating some things for them or whatever, and that human is still sitting there and making the final decisions. There's a lot of use for that, for saving people time. But, yeah. Yeah, bite. I know you can't hear me, but yep. We sure are. We sure are. But anyway, YouTube's version of it was actually okay for some of the stuff it was trying to tell me to do, and I was surprised. I was very surprised. But I don't know. Is it like that for everyone? Does it understand a lot of content types? Maybe the way I do my content, it thinks, you know, oh, this is, or not thinks, it is an easier one for you to maybe come up with some stuff in. I don't know. I'm probably not going to use it. Cool to see, but I still just do my thing. What I do realistically is I don't come up with, sometimes I do it, but it's rare. I don't always come up with a video first. I just sit down with someone and go, what do you want to talk about? And they talk about what they want to talk about. We come up with an outline of topics to make sure we hit. And then I go, what if we title it this? And they go, oh yeah, something like that sounds good. And then we just start talking just with that in the back of our minds. That's it. There you go. There you go. And today it's a tool to assist in making things easier. Yeah, it just depends on how you use it, right? That's all. Sounds like good old-fashioned brainstorming. Yeah, so what I see is maybe these tools helping people do that faster. But I don't think it's all there yet. We'll see. We'll see. I love the topic, but I also don't like getting too deep into some parts of it because it's one of those things where, like, no matter how you talk about it, people freak the fuck out. So I just like to talk about the tech itself, but not too much beyond it. You know what I mean? Not too much. Hold on, I'm reading your paragraph. And I'm reading what you replied to. Yeah, I agree with what Billy said. Sorry, I just don't want to read it out loud while I'm like processing. Yeah, it's probably marketing. But I don't know. I have to look into it. So like VTubers, I like how they get a bad rap sometimes. Yeah, I think it's gotten better over time. I think people are living in the past a little bit. I still see it, absolutely, but I think it's more concentrated on certain people rather than widespread. Does that make sense? I feel like more people that used to be haters on VTubing in general are more, they have one or two where they're like, that one's okay. They're not all bad. I just don't like this one, you know? I wish they just didn't make those comments at all, right? Like just calm down. But I've at least seen a little bit of a shift. Some people do get the worst of it still, or it's worse for them individually, but, you know. What could you do? Ooh, your beef with AI was a coworker using it to generate a metric ton of code that's impossible to review. Oh, man. That's like, yeah, what is it, malicious compliance in a way. Yeah. Or could be, depending on how that situation went. For sure. That's funny. I don't know, man. But anyway, at the end of the day, just learn to do your job. Because no matter if you use a tool to assist yourself or whatever, you need to know how to explain it. Okay? You need to be able to sit there and point at that thing you put in front of somebody and go, well, this is what it is. You know? You just need to have that level of understanding at least. If you have something auto-generate a script for you, proofread it, you know? Oversight, all of that. Please. That's all I ask. I've had some people use ChatGPT in the past to auto-generate proposals that they would send over. And I would read through it and I would go, hey, a lot of this straight up does not make sense. Like, it's not true. And they'd be like, oh, let me fix that. And they'd go fix it. And the way it would read would be completely different. And I'd be able to tell that they didn't write it the first time. And almost always I could tell it was ChatGPT, because when you compare it with how it spoke to how what they wrote spoke, it just, you could tell. You could tell. There's nothing wrong with using it to give yourself an outline and then changing it around, but they would just give me like the generated text, like exactly verbatim, and that was just not not good. Not good, man. People can tell. People can tell. I don't know. When you try to use it, it's so wrong, it isn't even funny. It depends. There are certain things where it's going to be able to find that information very readily, and other times it won't. So, you know, do your own research. Do your own research. But that's the case in this world, right? Whether you're using a tool to do research or you're looking at someone else who did their research and then you're trying to fact check, you should just always look over and fact check everything before you present it as your own, you know? So, that's just how it is. You used ChatGPT to generate a same After Effects script 3 times. It did differently every time and it never worked in the end. I mean, that's tough, an After Effects script. That I feel like I could see that being really tough. You gonna be playing the game with the cute jumping rock today? No, because we beat it. Well, I mean, there is I know there are multiple layers to the game, so I could play it more, but I'm cool with that being 2 streams. I think we'll do maybe 9 souls. Maybe that was the second highest voted yesterday, and it was pretty close in number of votes. So I think that might be a good one to do. Let me look. I screenshotted the number of votes. I gotta find it. Yeah, it was relatively close. We can of course still do a poll today between like 2 things, the 2 that were on there that we didn't do, but I have a feeling 9 souls will probably win. Maybe. I don't know. Fell asleep to stream. That's fine. Totally fine. That's why VODs exist. Also, reminding right now that the VOD channel is completely good to go again. We went through for the VODs channel and we completely caught up. There is going to be some old stuff that's just straight up missing or gone. But the VODs channel is caught up to the point where I'm not having any old stuff be posted anymore. It is done and it's only new stuff. So that and the playlists are done as well. So if there was a playthrough or any type of content that should be kind of sorted and then put together in a playlist format, that is done and ongoing. So already 100 hours of content. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. You forget how much you stream sometimes. Yeah, it's crazy. And it doesn't even include, I don't think it has like my first year of VTubing. I think it's really just the stuff from when I debuted my last model, the last one, and beyond. So, yeah. But it's there. It's there. It's there and it's going. Let me look. Content, playlists. We have a general just gaming one. We have a general just chatting one. We've got one for collabs. We have one for GTA. We have one for events. We've got like a Nintendo games playlist. Lethal Company. I have 12 Lethal Company mods. There's so many. That's not even all of them. The Hitman playthroughs on there. A couple times I did Frontier on this channel instead of just going over to Girls FC. Outer Wilds is on there. Doom Eternal. So we got the good shit. But yeah, I know quite a few people were asking for that to be done. They were like, hey, I really want playlists of this, and that is done. That is done and good. Thankfully. I'm glad. You're slowly watching the GTA playlist in 2 times speed. Yeah, and keep in mind with that, there are a lot of hours that were put in, and even now especially, there are hours that are put in that are not streamed, whether I do them on alt or not. Like sometimes they're just not streamed at all. So you know, there will be context and stuff that might be missing, and it'll be like that forever. It's just the case. That's just the case. You started watching the VOD of Duck Detective. That one, and oh my god, the Frog Detective 3 one was so good.
Hey GEEGA, I am working on planning a trip to South Korea sometime this year. When do you think is the best time to go? And are there any places you think a visitor must see? I definitely want to see the night markets.
Time of year, I would say summer's not good, depending on where you're going, but summer's not good. It's not as bad as a lot of parts of Japan, but in general, it's a similar kind of climate. I'd say Korea is a little bit colder than Japan, but it depends on where you are, because Japan's very long, right? People usually go to Tokyo, which is, you know, a little further south, so they're used to like the really wet heat. You get kind of the same thing. In Korea, it's a peninsula, it's surrounded by water, wet heat. So if you're not good with that, not summer. At the same time, it can get really cold in the winter as well. It can be a bit both. I think yeah, spring and fall are good. I used to go in the summer a lot, unfortunately. But I would sometimes stay through fall. And I think the fall was my favorite because it was a little quieter. A lot of people go and travel to Japan and then they kind of chain it together with a Korea trip in the spring, because that's just when, like, ooh, sakura flowers are in bloom, blah, blah, blah. Like, everyone I know is like, oh, I'm going to Japan in April, in May. They always kind of do that time frame. So if you want to be around when there are fewer tourists, I'd say late summer and fall. So, like, October, November, honestly, is good. And if you go around that time, depending on the date, you could go there during Chuseok, which is essentially like their Thanksgiving. It's the harvest festival over there. And maybe get some interesting foods and more snacks and things that you don't really get outside of that. As for where to go, I don't know. I think it depends on what you like. There are a lot of different things you could do. Something that's always fun is going to Lotte World. It's so, like, normal, but it's a completely indoor amusement park, and it's fucking enormous. It's enormous, okay? And it's like just a banger. Like how people go to Tokyo Disney, right? That one's pretty good. I would say go around and eat food. Just go around and eat food. If you are not comfortable being in a place where fewer people speak English, you can go to Itaewon. Itaewon is the de facto neighborhood for English speakers, and it's within Seoul, it's within the capital, and a lot of tourists, you know, will also go there, but a lot of English speaking people that teach English in the country, or, you know, things like that, a lot of them live there, have apartments there. It's a very foreigner friendly area, so it's cool to hit up just to, like, meet people if you want to just talk to people about what's going on. A lot of neighborhoods that people go to just to hang out tend to be a lot of the college neighborhoods, so going near certain universities like Ihwade, like things like that. Going to Hongdae is a really popular one. It's a neighborhood that just has a lot of shopping and a lot of food, and it's just really, everything's really walkable, but Hongdae especially is really walkable. If you're bougie, you can go to Gangnam, of course. A lot of people like to go there just to be in the bougie area, but I find that it's not that cool unless you're doing something like actually doing luxury shopping, or you're getting plastic surgery, or like something like that. Like, you have to be having a reason to go there. So I really never hung out in Gangnam because there was nothing I was doing there, right? I did have a couple friends that were like weirdly rich and had some, you know, apartment that a family member got that was there. So if I was meeting somebody, I might meet them there, but we'd usually go eat somewhere else. You go to bougie places for a purpose, not to loiter. Literally, yeah. There's like just straight up nothing to do if you're not a rich person. So, you know, don't think that you're gonna find a lot in Gangnam. Yeah, there's just a lot of places you can go, but I would say look at the towns and neighborhoods outside of universities, and that's where usually the best non-expensive shopping is. Expensive.
Hi. This is the second ever message, Lamau.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that I got the Audi S5, the Ford Focus RS, and the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio like 30 minutes ago in Need for Speed
Why are you
Unbound.
telling me this? But okay.
And I don't know what color I want the 3 to be. Any recommendations would be appreciated, and I'll keep you updated on what I do in NFS.
Chat, what color should his Need for Speed cars be? I don't know, whatever you like. I don't know what you like. do whatever. Do whatever. Shit green chartreuse. Make one purple and one violet and ask people the difference, guys. Cypress brown. Yeah, make them brown. Good old 70s car tan. Let's go with a tan. How about a tan car? Would you say underground shopping is nice to check out too if you've never had the experience? Yeah, there are a lot of spots like that. Actually, in the train stations. Make one blue and one gold. Ooh. I'll go for brown. You do it. Do a lineup. A lineup of brown cars. Do it. Shit rust. Question. I don't remember who said this. It's fine. Are you gonna play Monster Hunter Wilds on stream at all? Oh yeah, and you should come to stream on release day. I am very much going to play it. And I'm gonna do cool shit that day. I am 100% playing it. Yes, absolutely. And I'll probably play it for the week. I'm excited. I've been wanting a new Monster Hunter. But spoilers? So just play it on the side at the same time. That's the strat. Also, what does Monster Hunter spoil? Can I be honest? Like, there's some cool story, but it's more underlying lore. I don't think anyone really plays it, sees a spoiler, and is like, I can't believe the big reveal was ruined for me. You know, it's like, there's mild story, but it's not some giant important thing that you need. You know what I mean? Yeah, maybe new monsters. Maybe new monsters. That's what I would care about personally, but just play it on the side, man. I have to see too how easy it is to make you guys be able to just join in when I'm playing. I don't know if it'll be really easy for you guys to hop in, and I'm not gonna go and like add everyone to my friends list to do that. But if I'm able to do a lobby code or something, I don't know if they're gonna do it like that though. The beta was, I'm trying to recall like what the online options for the beta were. I feel like I went into the beta and there were a lot of people just running around, so we were just kind of instanced together. I don't know if you can make that a thing more easily. Yeah, beta was mostly SOS, sort of. We'll see, we'll see. It's pretty forced open. Yeah, kind of. It'll be more seamless than World, but still more annoying than usual. We'll see. We'll see. I hope it's seamless, but like, you know, it is what it is. Volder, and thank you for the 2 3 for 16 months. Thank you, thank you. But we'll see. Someone's like Girls FC collab that week. Oh, 100%. If I don't play with them, I'll like kill them. There's no way in this world we're not playing Wilds together. Speaking of, I saw Nina earlier. I usually just lurk, but I like opened Twitch and she was in the carousel on the front page. I like, you know, you open, you see the carousel on the top, and I saw that like 2 layers down to the right, like if I click right on the carousel, I saw that she was there and I was like, huh? I clicked in. I don't know why, but she just was playing Elden Ring, so it was nice. I don't know if they like did it for a reason or if it was just like a randomized thing or what. Just a big stream today for what? She didn't say anything. 12-hour. Interesting. Interesting. Hey, if she's, I don't think she'll, well, will she be still on when I'm done? I know she said she was doing like something long, but I wasn't sure if it was for like a major thing. Well, if she's still on when we're done, we'll rate her. We shall see. We shall see. They stated there will be lobbies like in World. Yeah, if I can just do a lobby code and give you guys that. I don't like the song. I have to skip it. It's driving me crazy. Okay. If I can just set up a lobby code and throw it in chat or on screen and you guys can just join, that's my ideal. Like, I want you to be able to do that. I really hope it works that way. If they make it like I have to add everyone, I just can't manage that. I can't do it. I don't just like add people to my Steam friends list from chat, you know what I mean? But if I can have a code to let people play, that's what I would ideally like, and then we can just grind, you know? That's what I want. So we'll see, but I'll also try to set up collabs. I'm sure a lot of my friends are going to be dying to play. Peter has been like going crazy. Peter Park, he's like, I have to play 100 hours and you have to play with me. Sean as well. So you'll probably see me, Peter, and Sean play a bunch. Good old Shawnick. What could go wrong? Adding people to Steam from chat. It's one of those, yeah, it's one of those things where, like, I wish I could, but I won't. You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where you know it's irresponsible, so you don't do it, but you wish you could just do it without worrying about anything. It's just not. It's not possible. It's not possible. Terrible idea. Yeah, you have to just err towards caution. Even when I was a smaller streamer, I still didn't do that much. Just some people from the community, if I like heard them in VC a lot, they didn't do anything weird, you know, and I was like, all right, this should be fine. But even then, someone would be so normal for so long and then suddenly like unnormalize and they just become a freak out of nowhere, and I'd be like, okay, well, guess we can't really vet this. Guess it just can't. You can't guarantee that it'll work, you know? I'm sure there are plenty of normal people that wouldn't be weird, but like you can't predict that, you know? And that's the issue, really. So that's you just don't do the thing is what that means, right? Your life is on pause until Wilds comes out. Yeah, I'm just playing whatever until then, pretty much, as well. Playing stuff that's older that I feel like getting through. Yep. Lots of VTubers seem excited for Wilds. I'm really glad at what World did for people just playing Monster Hunter. The player base is much bigger than it ever was. And I think, you know, they just marketed World right. They made the game feel right for a Western audience as well. And yeah, I'm just super glad that it turned out the way it did, because now there are more players. Because I'm a really, really, really long time Monster Hunter fan, and trying to find people to play like second G with back in the day was impossible. Impossible. I had a few friends around me that would play it, and we were all collectively into it as a little group, but I was playing with the same couple of people over and over, and several of them were just my siblings, you know? So I'm just glad. I'm excited, because even for you, Monster Hunter 4U, I would have, of course I have like nerd friends that like Monster Hunter that would play it with me, but it's not one of those things where I could just ask anyone who plays games, hey, do you play this, and expect that they probably do, right? But now World is so popular that I think there's a good chance that if I ask someone new who I just know nothing about but that they play video games, hey, do you play World? There's a good chance they're like, yeah, I'll play it. You know? So it's really nice. It's really nice. I always wanted Monster Hunter to become more popular. There's some things you might wish, you know, I don't want this to be more popular. I like it where it is, but Monster Hunter, I wanted a larger hunting community. It was always too small. Huge in Japan, just in the West, you know, a lot smaller. You had 400 plus hours in 4U solo. Yeah, that was me with second G. A lot of my grinding was just solo hunts. One of my brothers would be grinding for this thing, and I'd be grinding for that other thing, and we'd just be playing sitting next to each other, same room, but not hunting the same thing, and it would just, you know, it's just solo hunts all the time. It was rough, man. It was rough. World is what got you into it, but now you went back to portable third. Yeah, you know, I have seen a lot of people try the older ones, and I'm glad.
Do your Monster Hunter getting popular got us the movie faction redeems chat?
Yeah, no, we can ignore the movie. It was... I will not get over one of the trailers having the default old sound file for Diablos, right? It comes out of the sand, goes like, with like the crunchy ass sound. I was like, no, real fans get this. Yeah, it was so weird, man. I don't know why they did that. No thanks. No thanks. I'm good. The only time you beat GOG, you did it solo with 35 seconds left on the clock. It was so hard doing solo hunts back in the day for grinding because they took forever. I still loved the game, but Jesus. I don't know, man. I just think, I think I'm glad it's more popular. I have people to play with. I was just tired of only solo hunting, you know? You own a 3DS only because of 4U and Generations. I have the 3DS that I have is the special edition, that silver one for 4U. I have that. And then before that, that was when you got the new Nintendo 3DS. When I had the regular 3DS, I had a case that was a Monster Hunter case. It's like a plate that you just throw on the outside, and I got that signed by the Monster Hunter creator. And I still have it. I put like not very well clear nail polish over the top of the signature because he did it in silver Sharpie, and I wanted to like preserve it and not have it rub off, so I tried my best. And I think it's like to my right somewhere. I still have it. Special memorabilia. It was cool. Was this question? I know groups of tiny content creators. Do you mean tiny, like small creators, like the creator size, that seem to be formed for a purpose with only a few natural friendships? Shouldn't they stay away from that kind of thing? Am I just judgmental? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're just trying to find people that you want to do some sort of project with. And if that project is a type of content, you're finding the right people for that, that's fine. And usually when you do that, you naturally become friends with them over time. Or maybe you feel them out. Maybe one of those people it's not that you don't get along with, but you have a common interest, but it doesn't click as well. Maybe you do less with them in the future. But overall, I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's a problem at all. There have been people that I've collaborated with not knowing them that well, only have watched a couple of their streams, and our goal was let's stream together and make content, right? It doesn't mean that we're friends, but we're trying it out, right? And the difference is instead of trying it off stream, we're trying it out on stream, right? And that's just normal. I think that's totally fine. I think if you push it really far, like you realize you don't really get along with someone well, but you keep it going for content for a long time, if this is your livelihood, I get it. But if this isn't your livelihood, I don't know why you would try. I don't know why you would do that. And I'm sure you can find people that you get along with that you could do that with. And it's probably more natural, and viewers would probably like sense that, I would think. But I don't think there's inherently anything wrong with someone forming up a group for content, but they're not really like organically close yet. Because, you just have to try. I think that's okay. It's like an IRL friendship. Some people vibe and some don't. Yeah, I mean, everyone has friend groups where, maybe one person in that group is your best friend, and that's how you kind of entered that group. And there might be one or two people that you only hang out with if the group is there. I think we've all experienced that. And it doesn't mean that you don't like those people. They're just not your favorite, your closest friend, right? I have friends like that are parts of groups that they do things that annoy me so much, but I still like them overall. I'll still hang out, but I'm not going to be like, yeah, let's go eat food one-on-one because, they just talk about a lot of stuff I'm not interested in or something like that. But it doesn't make me hate them. It doesn't make me dislike them. It just means we don't vibe as well because our interests are different or the way we speak is different, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with hanging out with that person, keeping them in the group, right? Etc. Not everyone has to vibe perfectly. And again, if you're doing it for content because you're a content creator, that's fine. That's fine. That's okay. But yeah. You said if we can join lobbies in Wilds, is there an issue for streaming too? No, that's fine. That's fine. If I open a lobby code ever, if I'm playing games on stream ever, and I'm like, hey, you guys can just jump in, and you want to just jump in, and you're also streaming, that's totally fine. Like that's always okay. What I do is I turn off voice chat though. Like I don't do that unless I know the person beforehand really well. So you won't get that experience, right? Obviously, but like hopping in is totally fine. And then I just don't want people like promoting really hard, like because then it feels like they only joined for that. You know what I mean? If they're in there and they're like, by the way, I'm live in the in-game chat, constantly spamming, like that's really like weird. But other than that, I don't care. It's all good. It's all good. Ew, yeah. There's a lot of people that do it like lightly.
Have you tried Monster Hunter Now, the mobile game mixed by the same company as Pokemon Go? Killed a ruffian on my way home for work.
I haven't actually tried that one. I have friends that have had it, so I've seen it, but I don't do mobile games for the most part because I can't do it. I'll become a slave to my phone, if I have too many mobile games that are like the types of things where you open when you're in a certain area. I really wanted to play Pikmin Bloom. That's the one I really wanted to play. I held back. Yeah, if I just went on walks and used it, it'd be okay, but in general, yeah, I avoid it. I resist. Yeah, I resist for sure. You said you hope Wilds has a lobby system like Rise instead of Worlds. I would love that. I'd love it to be. I kind of liked the way World did some things in concept. Just the execution was bad. The idea was cool, but yeah, it wasn't good. Stream title collab with GEEGA. I've had people do that where I've had I've had like an open Mario Kart lobby and people have joined. And I've been informed later that there's been at least 2 people that have hopped into those and then changed their stream title to like collab with my name in it. When it's just my open lobby and we're not even like in VC or anything. They just do that. That's a little... No, thank you. Don't do that, man. Don't do that. Please don't. It'd be one thing if they were like, I'm playing in GEEGA's lobby. That's fine. Like... I'm not gonna be like, you can't put it in the title because like, hey, get your bag, you know what I'm saying? But like, it's not a collab, you know what I mean? Like, it's a misrepresentation. Someone might click on that and be like, oh, they're hanging out, and then we're like not hanging out, you know? It's a little odd. Don't do that, but I like people just join shit though. Are you gonna send me another paragraph?
I couldn't make a shit brown properly, so I went for a darker CEO bronze. It looks
what do you mean you couldn't make shit brown?
On the Julia and S5,
why not?
Truly revealing the body lines. However,
why not?
It's just not right on the Ford Focus.
Okay.
The RTR Tech 5 rims and the positioning of the stock grille make it look like a dwarfed Michael B. Jordan with some Soul Train Disco Inferno bell bottoms. 8/10 color choice.
I think you need to try harder, and I think you can achieve a shit brown paint job. You just have to really believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself, okay? Lock in. Lock in. Yeah, 2 out of 10 game can't make shit brown car. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You know, Neutron is making a thingy. I don't know if I can reveal too much, but he's making a thingy, and he asked me what my favorite car was for it. Exactly, Mr. Bright, exactly. Exactly. I have, Neutron's making a thing, and he was like, hey, what's your, like, if you could have one car to drive, what would it be? And I was like, IRL? Because that's different from, like, in a game or something. And he was like, no, like in a game. Like, assuming it would never break apart, it was going to be in perfect condition. You don't have to buy it with real money. I was like, oh, okay, thank God. Because the answer differs a lot. You'll see in the future. You'll see. It'll be cool. It'll be neat. Inspired by your faction, so I'm drawing a character, and I made my own pose that relies heavily on perspective and besides looking okay. Hell yeah. Yeah, you guys are free if you ever wanted to draw like a Sona for one of the little guys, little faction guys. If you want to like make your own, you're totally welcome to.
Hi.
Shit man, shit. Shit man, shit. Dude, I want to hire Twitchman for something. I'm keeping it in my back pocket. Like, what's the right moment to use Twitchman for something? And I'm just holding on to it. I'm waiting for the moment. But we need to bring Twitchman on at some point. We have to. We just gotta. Look at that. Look at that emote. Look at it. It's so beautiful. No, I don't know what we would use Twitchman for, but there's got to be something. There can't be nothing. There can't be nothing. Save it for the Dan collab. Dude, yeah. Yeah, when it comes to that stuff, oh man. I was trying to figure out what to do with him. Because he essentially offered me more of his time. He was like, yeah, we could collab on something, we could play games, you know, whatever. And part of me is like, oh, I'd love to do round 2 of our thing, but this time actually focus on like the later discussion instead of it just being like the initial podcast, which was just supposed to be like a generic VTuber, like let my viewers learn about it kind of thing. Shit. But I was like, you know, I could do part 2 that focuses on that thing. I could tell him about the shit mice. The thing is, there's also a lot of other stuff I could do that would be funny, and I find those kinds of discussions, while I like having them behind closed doors, when I do it publicly, it's so tiring. so so there's a part of me that's like, I don't know what I want to do here. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I don't know. I liked how you went out fully dressed, and I don't know how else to phrase that. Oh, yeah. yeah. Not to make a point, it's just this is the model, right? But yeah, I agree. Suit it up. I even made mention of it. I was like, I know I'm like dressed head to toe, but what if I wanted to do this? You know? Just to make it like clear, like I could turn around one day and be like, oh yeah, I want to wear this crazy thing, you know, whatever. But yeah, those I want to have more of those discussions, but I also don't want to make that like the only thing I do. I feel like once you start touching on that kind of content, it's easy to become one of those people who only does that. And that's not what I want to do. I'm so down to do it sometimes, but I'm not trying to do that all the time and make that like my journey and my mission, you know? So, but I want to help, right? So I'm torn. You have to grill him. I have to grill him. I have to rake him over the coals. It's required. No, there's definitely a loud pocket of people that are like that's what they want. And I'm like, brother, I get it. But we got to be realistic here about what that would do. You know, would that be constructive? Would that do anything? I don't know. Yeah, I never showed my cool hat. That's true. I didn't show my cool hat. Here, I'll put on my cool hat. It's hat time. Put him over a literal grill in VR chat. I'll give him a... I'll find, like... the most nude possibly allowed VR chat model and be like, yo, let's go. Let's go hang out VR chat. Let's do it. No, I had an idea for a bit that I thought would be a really funny follow-up. So part of me wants to do like one real follow-up conversation and then like one funny bit as well, right? I want to do a bit of that. But Dan in the booby model. I should get his model fully rigged boobs. That's what I should do. I should be like, hey, you know, your model's fine, but like we're missing a toggle here. we need to go into the hot tubs category, put a bikini on you, and you need fully rigged boobs, okay? It's a requirement. I doubt he'd do it, but I'll suggest. I'll ask. You want a model with fully rigged boobs? I think everyone should be allowed to have one. I think everybody should feel okay with that, because there's nothing wrong with wanting them. Nothing wrong. When you were talking about how expensive the models could be, all I could think about was how is she not? Oh, yeah, and my over expensive hat. Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's rough. It's rough. Well, I mean, that's what the whole stream, the podcast was posed to me to be. It was like, hey, last minute, I was only asked like a little bit beforehand. We had a person who was going to do this and they dropped, they can't do it. Would you want to sub in? I heard some people say it was Camilla. Is that true? I don't know. I don't know who it was supposed to be, but they were just like, hey, we're doing our Twitch Patch Notes podcast. It's just, and I've watched them before. It's just like a community podcast. They bring someone on, talk about a topic, whatever. And they were like, this topic is the one that we promised we would do a long while ago on VTubers. And it's just like the main point of this is that a lot of the people watching will be Patch Notes viewers and their generic Twitch audience. And a lot of them don't know anything about VTubers. So we want to like just talk about it, you know, and have someone on who can talk about it and discuss, you know, a bit of themselves and then like how this stuff works, so that we just have a good spot for those people to like understand, and then they can ask questions in the chat about it or, you know, whatever. And then at the end we'll have like a little Q&A segment. That was really what it was. So, you know, that's why we spent so much time. Like they basically interviewed me for some stuff and then asked me a lot of VTuber questions that they've seen asked by the community. The community that doesn't know anything about VTubers. So that's really what it was for, or what it was presented to me as. Lily waiting for her turn. Yeah, I have no information on that. I don't know. I remember her saying she was going to do something like that a while back, but all I know is what she tweeted, and that was a long time ago, wasn't it? Let me see. I feel like that was like forever ago. I think she would be good for something like that because she's been like affected by some of the topics we brought up. Yeah, I saw some people, I see it. Some people were confused thinking that I was doing that. Like they picked me instead of her to do that thing, but they're totally separate. From what I understand, at least, from what I know. Like I was never presented like that to me. It was just like, oh, this is the patch notes thing. We're doing one about VTubers. But that was supposed to be a thing on her channel, and she was going to interview him about VTubers and Twitch. And yeah, that was something that that was like September 2024 was when she asked that. So yeah, it was gonna be on hers. Yeah, it was a different thing. It wasn't like the Patch Notes podcast that I was on. I'm curious if she'll get to do that. maybe I'll press them on that and I'll be like, so when's that happening? can you do that? Because I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that. Not a Patch Notes thing. Yeah, no. She was gonna do something on her own channel with him. I think it was just her own interview that she was setting up. I don't know. I kind of wonder what happened to that. I have no clue. It'd be nice to see. And like I said, like she's someone who's been directly affected by that stuff. So it'd be cool to like have her have the opportunity to sit there and talk about that directly. I think that'd be nice. I think it'd be nice. Philly's the only other person that's interviewed Dan that I know of. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it wasn't like we were supposed to be interviewing each other. Or there was like a portion where they interviewed me, but it was supposed to just be a regular podcast and we just talk about some stuff together. That was really all it was. So, and then I think the thing that was for me, I just wish we had more time, because by the time we got to the questions part, I asked the ones that I had like, so they asked me like, what questions do you want to ask? And I said, I don't know. They asked us beforehand. And they said, okay, you can ask anything you want. If you want to send any questions beforehand, you can. If it's the sort of thing where they might need to formulate an answer maybe by checking on something first, we could do that. Or you could send nothing and you could just ask stuff. Or you could send some and ask more, whatever. They're like, but if you feel like anything needs any preparation, you can hand it over. So I think the first question that I asked, I handed over and was just like, hey, if they want to like think about this before, discussing. And they were like, oh, okay. And I think that was, I don't know if this is the first question, but it's the one about like, what can we do better at like live events to have maybe VTubers be more integrated? Because I wanted them to just be able to talk about that, because that's something that a lot of people asked me. But then after that, yeah, everything was just like off the cuff or not spoken about beforehand. So, when I asked the, interestingly, he brought it up first, but when I asked the TOS thing, or he kind of posed the question first and then I reworded it. I was like, well, this is what people, kind of want to know. I wish I had more time to follow up, because I had so many, we had a strict timeline, we had to end by a certain time, so that they could do like the regularly scheduled their own Q&A thing at the end. But I had a lot of follow-ups in my mind that I kept written down. I still have them, that I'd like to just go back to him with and be like, hey, if I had more time, here's what I would have, here's what we would have gotten on. And there's even, I was watching it back. There's even a part where I go, okay, so I have 2 follow-up questions to this. And then I only got to ask the first one. I didn't get to go to the second one. I didn't get to like press deeper, So I'd like to be able to just like keep going and ask more questions. Oop, yeah. I mean, no, genuinely, like they were sticking to the time schedule that we agreed upon at the beginning. It wasn't, they weren't like cut the mic because they could tell I was about to to press more, which like I was going to, but like I don't think it was that. It was like I was aware of literally what the timetable was, and I was looking at it as they were talking, and I was like, we're probably not going to get to what I want to get to, but. No, it wasn't malicious. I mean, also, like, I wanted to give them, I did cut Dan off a little bit while he was talking, just to, like, add in, like, what about this, But, I didn't want to do that too much and have it be me talking. I wanted to just hear what they had to say, because I don't think there have been many times that I'm aware of where they've like verbally just sat there and spoken about those topics. So I really wanted to hear like, what do you have to say about this? What's, you know? And then we see that, let people comment on it, and then I can come back later with like, okay, here's what people have to say, right? Because I also don't want to just sit there and be like, here are the questions the community has, when the community hasn't sat there in one spot and asked those questions. I obviously see like angry people on Twitter or angry people in like different random videos or Reddit threads for a long time, but it's better to just like let them say something. We all kind of drop the mic for a bit, see what people have to say, and then come back to it and be like, all right, here's the actual FAQ, you know? So I did mention to Dan, I said, how did I say it? I was basically like, if you're okay with this, can I aggregate like the comments and the follow-ups that people want from this? Yeah. I was like, I'd love to address like any amount of follow-up questions on the topics we discussed. And yeah, I was like, I can compile basically like the questions and thoughts and major points from what I'm seeing, and then like come back with that. And he was like, would love to have like an edited version of the comments questions, just so it's like, you know, solidified. So it'll be nice to be able to do that. But that's kind of my goal, right? Like open the conversation, not like try to get a solution right there. Just ask it at the end, hear them out, see what they have to say, be like, what do you think, guys? And then, you know, come back to it. So he has promised me his time, so we'll see. I'm going to keep bothering. I'm going to do it. But yeah. What happened? Nothing crazy. No, it was just, I wanted to do a follow-up, and he agreed. So we'll talk to Dan again. I think what I want to do is maybe not do it live. So there's no pressure to give a perfect answer. We can sit there and circle around and like restate things and blah, blah, blah as many times as needed to get to like a solid answer that then ends up in the final cut. Because I think doing it live, there's a lot of pressure to sit there and within a short time frame, like give the right 5 sentences to answer this question, when really these topics are like so complex that I don't think it does it justice unless you did like a 5-hour podcast on this. You know what I mean? So I think maybe doing it as just an edited video is better. You know, and then, you know, anytime I've done an edited video with people, it gives them the freedom to speak really freely. And if they say something off the cuff and they're like, ooh, it's not how I want to word that, they can say the same thing immediately and be like, hold on, let me redo that. And they can say the same thing in the way they mean it. And then that's the version that ends up in the end. But you relax more and you go a little less, like the walls are down a little more when you record something, knowing you have a chance to restate things, a chance to edit. Whereas when you're in front of a live crowd and you're representing like an entire company, you know, of course they're going to give like the most PR friendly, political sounding answers they possibly can, because it has to be as perfect as possible in that moment. If they misspeak, like it's terrible. So I'm going to see if maybe I can do that. So it's more of an open discussion or something, maybe. Yeah, take the pressure off. Exactly. I just feel like doing those kinds of things live is like a little, I don't know, having really serious conversations live where people are like demanding answers, whatever, can be rough. That can be rough. So I'd like to maybe do it in a format where we can get something more constructive out of it, instead of just being like, give me a perfect answer live so chat doesn't get mad, you know? But yeah, we'll see. So we'll probably do a video with Dan. I was actually interested in maybe poking other staff too, because I think everyone's so focused on Dan and so focused on, like, you know, the C-level people. But like Mary, for example, was head of community in that. Who's head of what? Who's in charge of making sure moderation is happening a certain way? Obviously, people or executives can still give a final say, but who's the person who's like day-to-day dealing with this? And can I talk to some of these people? I know a lot of them are not going to want to be public facing, but some might, the way Mary is, for example, right? So yeah, my thought was maybe like poke in and see if there's some people who are maybe like better equipped, honestly, to talk about the nuances of this stuff. I don't know if they'll really allow all of that, but we'll see. Good takes too. I liked, you know, Mary and I talked a bit before the broadcast too, We were like in the green room. We had done our tech check and whatever, and we were just sitting there and we were talking a bit more about some stuff like that. We got into that kind of TOS topic a little bit, not very much, but more like I was talking about like how models are made, and right, like the difficulty. Hey, these things take a long time to make, etc. And just being like realistically, you know, this, that, and she had, I don't remember what she said verbatim, so I'm not going to try and repeat it, but she had some really good notes on like ideas for things that they could do to make it better. And so if I could, I don't know if she would do it, but if I could poke her again, there was some good stuff. It was just not in the broadcast, you know. It'd be nice. Life is good for awareness. I agree. I don't know. I just want to point out where I solidly agree and solidly disagree, because I don't want to be a person who's just like purely on one side of anything, right? Whenever people are mad at a platform or mad at whatever, you know, not every single person in that company is the person to be pointing at. There will be specific people, maybe. There will be some that'll be complicit. There'll be some that have no idea what's going on. They have nothing to do with it, right? There's just a lot of nuance there, so I want to make sure, like, I want to talk to different people and not just be like, grr, this Dan guy, you know? Not sure I want to know how much a model like yours costs. It can be really expensive. It can be really, really expensive. I think a lot of people that are like well known, let's say, they're probably spending minimum 10K on a model. I've guaranteed, because the thing is, typically the artists that they use are in high demand, and those artists are in high demand because they use those artists. It's a self-fulfilling thing, a circle, and those people have to raise their prices as their demand goes way up. They have to raise their prices. They don't literally have to, but I think they'd be dumb not to. So they raise their prices, and you know, they'll still do, if you're a client that comes back over and over, oftentimes they will give a discount for being a repeat customer, and you know, especially if you're the first person they've done a thing for, they'll try to help you out a bit more because you've just come back and you brought them so much business. But yeah, overall it just kind of does that, and a lot of people don't want to not use the same artist, right? They're like, oh, I'd rather stay with this model, I want to use the same person again for this outfit. And then if their price goes up, you have no choice, right? You just have to do it. So, but I think you don't need to spend that at all to have something good. And you can have something that's super jank and stupid, and it probably will have a lot of charm, and people will love that it's jank and stupid, you know? So it's fine. It's fine. Their skills go up too. Yeah, exactly. You know, my artist who did this model, she did my last model as well. I was the first model that she ever made. She never had made a VTuber model before that. So by me asking her and people seeing me debut my model, suddenly she had a lot of people asking her, hey, do you do model commissions? Hey, are you open? You know? And she did some more, but it was just, you know,
long
brother, I can't. It's long, and I'm muting it. But yeah, no, I just think, like, overall, I'm amazed at my artist. At her being able to make what she did with, like, no experience in models. She had a friend that had made a model and went, hey, how does this work? How do you make it work so that it can be, like, cut into layers the right way? What needs to be cut apart? Like, I can't tell, you know? And that friend helped her out. And yeah, I was very impressed. And then now this one that she made, I mean, she's made several since, so you know, it's good. But I don't know. Last model also has charm. I like the last model a lot. I like both. I think people assume you start VTubing by buying a 10K model. Nah, I think enough people realistically know that. It's just some people that think that. I say it all the time. My first model was $250, and I felt bad. I paid him $300, and it was a half body, and it was one of the first couple of models. It was the first model he made for someone that wasn't himself. He had made one for himself before that, and I liked it. I liked his art style. I was like, that's cute. Looks like a little bean, you know? Felt very like slice of life anime kind of style. So I went with it. And then, you know, I was like, I want something that matches me more. And I just kind of like changed over time with what art I wanted. But It carried me very far. It was a really good model. I grew a ton just using that. So I don't. There's no reason to get something expensive. It's something you do if you want it, and it's a treat to yourself when you have the means for it. But no reason to do that beforehand. None at all. Little Scuffy's still out there. No, Little Scuffy was not my 1.0. My 1.0 model was not Little Scuffy. Little Scuffy was the other one. Little Scuffy was that specific one that looked like a little rigged PNG. That's Little Scuffy. And she's still out there. You pay her up front? Oh, my model artist? Yeah. I try to, whenever she bills me and is like, hey, it's time, I'm like, I'll just pay it all. I'll just pay all of it. I tend to do that. I like to pay for people's time up front if I can, just to make sure that they feel like they can take their time. There have been times where people have billed me like at the end, and that's okay if they want to do that. But if they're like, hey, I'd prefer upfront payment, if I've worked with them before especially, I'll just be like, yeah, here you go. You know, here you go. You know what software most folks use? For VTubing or for making the model? If they're making the model, they typically do Photoshop for drawing to get things properly layered. And then they do Live 2D for the animation, the rigging, they call it. So you learn Live 2D, that's the program. And then they put the 2D model typically in VTube Studio to run it. But yeah, it's Photoshop, draw art, make sure it's layered out in all the separate pieces that need to be animated separately, throw it into Live 2D, animate it. There you go. Yeah, Blender VRoid for 3D. Yeah. There's a lot. 3D has a lot more options that are commonly used. I'd say for 2D, they don't really use anything but Live 2D. Sometimes some people use Spine, but they don't use it for VTuber models so much. They just use it for flat animation of a thing that's looping, usually. Typically. Look at your stream history before you grew super fast. All things considered, I really did. I really did. When I look back at it, actually, I don't look back at it very often. Let me look. I really did. I started off, my first stream was to like 15 or 10 viewers. I don't even remember. It was very significant for a small streamer. Let me see. Yeah. Oh no, my first stream's average was 24. That's crazy. It was because I was streaming with my friend May. I had met her and we were just playing video games online, and like I had not started streaming or anything. And I told her I was going to start streaming, and she was like, "Why don't you collab with me?" She invited me to collab with her. Yeah, and it's the same May that I'm still friends with. That May. She was like, "You should collab with me. You know, and I can like get people to see you." And I was like, "You don't need to do that at all." Like at all. And she was like, "No, we're gonna probably like play games and collab together a lot anyway. Like we kind of were planning to." Because we were just friends like before I was streaming, and yeah, she was like, yeah, let's just do it. And then we did. She was just a friend that I made through this. I just met her like in a Discord that another VTuber had made that he invited a bunch of people to that either were streaming or wanted to stream, and they would just hang out. And I met her in a VC there, and that was it. So she was like, yeah, we should collab. And that was it. So my first stream was 24, and then that whole month I just collabed with friends from that server. I was just hanging out. I really didn't care about my streams. I was just doing it as a hobby, you know? So I streamed for a couple hours late at night. And I was always starting like most days 8 p.m. Streaming for 3-4 hours. And yeah, I kept that up. I was like around like 20 viewers for the most part. And that was in what, February? And then like around March, I started trying to play solo instead of just playing games with people. I was like, I want to see what happens if I solo stream. And it worked out from there. It just worked out. That's all. I think a good amount of it working out was that I played solo games that people like actually wanted to watch most of the time. And I played games that were a little off the beaten path, right? I went back and was like, you know what? I'm going to play stuff that I want to replay, right? So I started, actually, when I was starting to do more solo playthroughs, I did Subnautica Below Zero. I had never played it, and I said, I want to play this. And then a little bit later, I said, you know what? I want to play Pikmin 3. I really want to replay Pikmin 3. I was just playing stuff I was interested in, and that was it. And then I started playing nostalgic games a little after that, like classic era. I played some Breath of the Wild. I think by the, within a couple months, I started in February, and then by June, I was already at like 75 average. I was just grinding, that's all. I was just grinding, and I don't know, people watched for whatever reason. People were watching. That August, I was like hitting 100 viewers, it looks like. Yeah, it's crazy to me. That's crazy. Interestingly enough, is when I started collabing less and solo streaming more that I got more people following and coming in. I think when you're a smaller streamer, people do really like solo streams, because a lot of people that seek out smaller streamers, they're there because they want to be in a community where they can talk to you. And I was always really really communicative with chat, and you still see it. I sit here and just talk to chat for hours before I play a game. We just talk back and forth about whatever people bring up. I don't even come here with topics. It's just whatever people bring up. So I always did that. And that was it. If the you of now could tell the you of then anything, what would you tell them? When I was a smaller streamer, I don't think I would tell myself to change much as far as what I was doing when I was streaming, because I was just streaming stuff that I liked, and I think that's what you should do. You know what I mean? And then you should just do stuff that you like, and don't try to go in with a crazy strategy. I think the more you think about it like that, the more you suck the enjoyment out of it. I think I would tell myself to police my community differently. What I've settled on and what we do now is really good. What I did at the time was similar, but I think I let people have too much freedom, like moderators, with how they did things, and kind of left it up to like the group decision. And if I kind of wanted something to be a certain way, but several of them were like, I'd rather do this, I'd be like, all right, that's the community says. But no, like over time I put my foot down. I was like, I have decided it needs to be this, and if you're going to be my moderator, you have to get with the program, and we're going to be aligned on things. And if I say I need this, that I need it, once I started doing that, that was like the last thing I needed, I felt, for it to be good. That was it. Your first GEEGA stream was the 1.0 funeral. Yeah, when I did a funeral for my model. It was so good. I loved it. I sat in a coffin the whole time and just podcasted with people, and they were giving me eulogies. It was so fun. May was there. She was talking about all the stuff we did together. I love that stream. Did you stream with the model from day one? Yeah. So the reason why I met people and talked to them before I ever streamed was because I made a Twitter account and had a model, and I had the art of it while it was being rigged, and I was getting a little bit of art commissioned of it. And I had started like posting art a little bit, and just because I just wanted to do it, I was like, ooh, here's my character, and like started up my art tag. Some people found me on Twitter doing that and were like, I like your design, and we just started talking. And then I got pretty quickly invited to one server and then another one later. And then I just hung out with people in VC when I was playing games late at night. That was it. I would just go in there and be like, y'all, I'm playing Tetris 99, and I would just screen share. You know what I mean? And I made friends through that. And a lot of those people I'm still friends with, so. That was literally it. Literally it. Is there a VOD for that? I don't think we have that. I think we started working really hard on keeping all of that after, like the day I debuted the second model. Has anyone ever done a stop motion VTuber model? I think someone was working on one. I never saw the final result, if it was like done, but I know someone was trying for sure. It can be done. It can be done. I think the you from back then would be more excited about surviving. Yeah, I mean, well, the me at that time didn't know that me had cancer. That was not like knowledge at that point. I knew I had some weird medical things like starting to go on, but that wasn't a thought in my mind. I was just playing games with friends late at night, and then made it a stream thing instead of just playing a VC thing. That was really it. And then when was I finding out? I was finding out in 2022. I was streaming 2021, but 2022 was when I was like figuring out my Yeah, that's when I still had two balls. I was figuring out my health situation at that point, but my first like year of streaming, I had no clue. You know, I had no idea. So that was just me chilling. And people would always ask me. They'd always be like, "Oh, do you want to do this? Do you want to make it big?" I'd be like, "No." Like, I work in tech. I really don't need. I would say it all the time. I'd be streaming like 8 p.m. I'd be like, "I'm streaming after work, guys. I'm not like." That's not really what I'm going for. And I would always give the blanket answer of like, if this surpassed financially the tech job, then I'd consider it. But it doesn't, so no. That was always my answer. And then yeah, illness changed that for sure. It changed that. So I went full time. I think I had my surgery over the winter, over that one winter. I think the fall before that was when I went full time, because I was like, when I announced, oh, I'm going full time, it was more like that was when I was stopping working because I couldn't anymore. Really, you know, that's really what that was. But at the same time, I wanted to fill my hours, so at least publicly here, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go full time. Like, it was more that I had a reason why I was going full time, but I wasn't saying it. I was just like, yeah, it just makes sense now. I remember some of my people being like, does it pay more than your tech job? And I was like, I just really want to do it. Yeah, full-time sweats. Yeah, exactly. I didn't want to scare everyone, so I wasn't going to say it, you know? I stayed so low-key about my shit that I didn't say any of it. I was like, I'm straight up, I'm not going to let them know. Illness makes you realize job is not as important in life as video games. Yeah, I mean, realistically, what I did, I could go back and do anytime. So if things don't go well for some reason, I will be fine. You know, I'll be okay because I have something I can pivot to. That's a luxury that I've got. So, you know, I was like, well, if I want to do this, I could only do it now. So why not? That's it. It's not really like a deep life question for me. It's really like, I just feel like spending my time doing this right now. Okay. All right. And that's it. Coco Loco. Thank you for the raid. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Nyan scanned her plushie textures onto 3D models that she pilots. It looks uncanny. Oh, I hate that. I think I saw it. I think I saw it. I was like, what the fuck is that? What's she doing? Lucky. Yeah. He's talking. Upper middle class privilege. No. How about a person who got a job? Privilege. Who picked a career that they can go back and work in? Privilege. I wouldn't call it that. Hi, baby. What's going on? That's what he says. His meows are so clear now. They're cleared now. Sometimes he walks in here and is going, like he's opening his mouth, but he's not really saying much. Person who works hard, privileged. Yeah, that's not that. That's the grind set. I just think I'm capable of getting on a grind set. That's all. As evidenced by me starting streaming and just growing. That's it. Just do it, man. Just do it. I don't know. A lot of people will be like, man, I don't know what to do to grow. I don't remember. And like, I don't think anyone can make you a guide. You just have to grind. You just have to spend time and you have to be mindful about it. You have to look at yourself and analyze yourself and be like, do people like this? Would they want to watch this? Would I want to watch this? That's it. There's no secret sauce, I don't think. There's none. You just have to do it a lot and become content brained. That's all. Right? And some people are just like really likable. Like some people, they have a really funny laugh, or the way they speak, people really like, they find it funny. You know, like I think Queso is a good example. That dude is just so funny existing. And that's why he's got so many viewers. And he came out of nowhere and just exploded. Because he's just like a really likable person when you sit there and watch him doing stuff. Not for everyone, but for like the majority of viewers. That's it, right? Some people just have that. Yeah, he's a chill guy. He's a chill guy. It always amazes you that people jump to privilege and nepotism instead of hard work. Lol. It's because um, I'm not going to try and justify it. I just think people will often say that because they don't recognize or notice or see people until they're already popular, or they do a thing that's viral, which is probably their popular moment or whatever. So they see someone and that person is already big and they're like, ooh, that big person. When, realistically, like, how did they get there? They're not born with 100,000 followers on Twitter, right? I made a Twitter account and it had 0 followers and then I built it, right? Amelie, great example. She's been doing this for 18 years, literally. She's built it, She didn't come out of nowhere. Yeah, survivorship bias, similar, but success is the metric. Sort of, yeah. Right, took thousands of hours. Yeah, I have, like we were saying on our, on the VOD channel, there's like 800 hours of content on there, and that's not even all of my streams. It's missing a lot of the early ones. Like, if you put that time in, you will get better, like 100%. Maybe some people will get better faster if they're doing certain things a certain way. They're thinking about it really actively versus being more passive, but still, like, it'll happen no matter what. Right? It's the 10,000 hours thing. 10,000 hours playing piano, yeah, you're going to get better. Right? So, that's just how it is. It's just, it's object permanence, right? People see what's in front of them. They'll see a singer, and they'll be like, dude, this singer came out of nowhere. And I'm like, no one came out of nowhere realistically. Even Queso didn't come out of nowhere. He just grew kind of fast, right? But everyone did a thing. And then while they were doing the thing, something happened that worked, and it kept working. And then they got big, right? And if someone does actually come out of nowhere, typically they've spent time building up the skills, and then someone found them and put them in the limelight, right? When someone joins a company, for example, and they're a fresh, quote-unquote, new VTuber, it's very likely that they've built those skills up somewhere elsewhere, and probably for a very long time, and then they get picked up and put in front of people. So they weren't like just born and knew nothing, Usually they actually built that up. Some people don't, but they have star power, right? Sometimes it's not always built up skill, but more that just they naturally would be good at this thing. Someone recognizes it and goes, let me try that. But that's very rare. Majority of people didn't have that. They just, did a thing forever and got noticed at some point, right? I think Pirate Software is a good example. That dude streamed to like nobody for so long, right? And then he had his shorts start working because he just formatted them right and they hit the algo. And there you go. That's it. That's it. And people don't really notice it until it's put in front of them, but yeah. Said, there are definitely talent management agencies and such that will take someone small and make them big, putting resources into it, but those agencies aren't going to invest in someone who hasn't shown competence by themselves. Yeah, exactly. When you do a job interview, some jobs will require degrees. Some jobs won't. They'll say, we require a degree or equal work experience or these certifications, etc., right? It's the same thing with talent agencies and all that kind of stuff. Having a lot of stream time put in and having found success doing that might make them look at you, but you could also have something else. Maybe you weren't a streamer before, but you have something to show that you can do this, or to give them a reason to want to take a chance on you, and that might be accepted too. And that could be anything. That could be anything. You could be like, yeah, I've never done a stream. I've never done anything on the internet, but I've been in theater for a long time and I do comedy shows, right? And that could even be something where an agency could be like, you know what? If you hit them at the right time and you have the right attitude, they might be like, you know what? I want to take a chance on this. I don't think anyone's done this, But you have to have something that makes them want to try it. So it could be anything. Anything at all. I think Mike mentioned before that Vinny rated him and a lot of people stayed. Yeah, he and I have talked about that a lot, where we're both in the same situation where we've had friends rate us or whatever, and that's helped us grow. He said for him, it took him a really long time to fully understand and feel like he still did it himself. And it wasn't until like a certain amount of time passed that he really was like, you know what? It doesn't matter where these people came from or how they found me. The fact is that whenever they did find me, they all stuck, right? And that was the point I was trying to make to him. I was like, you know, I have friends where I'll raid them and viewers leave. And then I have other friends where I raid them and viewers stay, right? And this is people of all sizes. And that's just, you know, that's the thing. If you get discovered because a friend helps you out, that's cool, but like you still have to retain them, you know? So like if someone has a friend and they show off their friend and a lot of people watch them and that friend retains those viewers, and especially if they start doing a lot of solo content and they still retain those viewers, then they're good. They shouldn't feel like they're a bad streamer or like they don't deserve it or something, right? That's just how it is. Some people do have that issue where you know, when they're hanging out with their friend on stream, people show up, but if they're not with that friend or doing content about that friend, people don't come by. Then yeah, that's an indication like you should work on something. There's something that you're missing there. But you know, if they retain them, they should never feel like they're not doing it themselves, right? I think a lot of people, especially because the VTuber community is so tight and everyone raids each other and a lot of people know each other and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of people, especially a lot of smaller streamers as well, they'll get raided and like people start coming by and they'll start to feel bad. They're like, but I need to make it myself. But I'm like, it's not how it works, you know? I don't want them to feel bad. No, Alma was doing YouTube content for a long time. Her main thing that she was doing 18 years ago was like her song covers and all that. Anime song covers. And then she later was doing voice acting and then later became a VTuber. So, but she's just had like the content career for 18 years is what I mean by that. Your worry is how do you retain new viewers? Honestly, I think it's this simple. Don't think about anything other than like, I want people to sit here and have a good time. I want people to come here and the vibes are good to the point where their day has been made better. Whether it's that I'm playing a game that they like and I'm talking about it and they love talking about that thing, whether it's the way I act calms people, the way I act makes people excited, whatever it is, you just have to have that. And the more you try to think about it deeply, the more you're going to be in your head trying these really specific things when overall you should just be like, let me be in a good mood and get on stream, right? I think it's that simple. And of course there are things you can fine tune, but that's what matters. That's what matters. As Mike says, strive to be first monitor content. And then I'm different. I'm like, yeah, sometimes we do that, but also I strive to be second monitor content a lot of the time for people, but good second monitor content. Something people want to listen to. Yeah. Both are valid. But he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Not at all. Not at all. Your intro to VTubers was Amelie. Really? Okay. Okay. My intro to VTubers was, who did I watch first? I don't remember. I genuinely, I don't remember who it was. I remember being on YouTube and seeing a clip of someone playing a game and they were a VTuber and I was like, what is that? Is this a live stream? It was like really early on. This was like 2018 or something. And I was like, what? Is that a streamer? And I looked into that person and found that it was like, it was a streamer. It was live. And I went, oh my God, that's cool. Because I was interested in the tech. I thought it was neat. And then I started watching those clips. And this was at a time when there weren't really many Western VTubers. It was just ones from like Japan and they were being translated over. They weren't doing any English content for the most part. And then sometime after that, I think in 2020, that was like the Corona Clips era, right? When everyone started finding like her and all of that. And that's when, also in that year was when a lot of Western VTubers started out. Not a lot, but the early ones started out. Except for like the few stragglers that were there earlier than that. Yeah, it was just it was a long time ago. Now that I think about it, that was a long time ago. First one you knew of was Mel. First one a lot of people knew of was Mel, because she had, here, I'm gonna take that off. She had a lot of content, articles, etc. made about her, because her doing the thing that she was doing her style of adult content with a model was like unheard of. And I remember some people were They were like, oh my god, is this the future? And then they were like scared. You know? Yeah, she got banned once because of a copyright claim, and then like after that, never. I want to say that too. One of the biggest, if not the biggest, VTuber in like the lewd space, and she just has never been banned for anything else. Nothing related to that kind of content or like, you know, the outfits, whatever. I think it's quite impressive. Quite impressive. For sure. Not once, man. You saw a lot of singers becoming VTubers? Yeah, I think that was a big transition period. A lot of people that either cosplayed or were singing on YouTube transferred over. For sure. You watched Fauna, then Geary, then you were in the Twitch hole? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Geary's brought a lot of people here, I've noticed. Because of collabs and stuff that she's done. Very much. Very much. Juna provoked your curiosity with her early Eldritch model. Yeah, yeah, I liked, I think she really pushed forward the idea of a lot of people making some of their own stuff. And she's like super anal about it, right? Like of doing her own models and all that. And it's something that definitely people liked. And that was literally like, you don't need anything crazy. You just need one thing that people can know you for. And that was her thing, right? It was that she made her own models from scratch. She did the art and the rig because she's crazy. And it was a cool selling point. It was a really cool selling point. Zen was the first one you followed regularly on Twitch. I think the first one I watched regularly on Twitch, unironically, was Joel. It was Joel. He was around for a really long time. I remember back then there were not many, and this is like 2018, 2019. Joel, Zen, Mouse were the ones I remember like seeing often, and there weren't really a lot of others that were around. There's some still that were on Twitch, but like those are the ones I remember seeing. And there were more that showed up later, but not many people were streaming as VTubers during or before 2020. Like really not many. A lot of them don't stream anymore. So at that time, I don't know, I just remember like following him, and back then the word VTuber didn't even exist. I don't remember when people started using it. I think it might have been 2020, at least in the West, I mean. But the word VTuber wasn't used for what we think of as VTubers now. And and Rose Doodle. Rose was around at that time too. And Joel and Rose were like, they found each other and they were like, oh my god, you do the model thing? Oh my god, you do the model thing too. And they would just say that they had anime girlitis when people would come into chat and be like, what is this? Because they'd never seen it. They'd be like, I have anime girlitis. It's so sad. And that was their whole shtick, because they didn't have the word VTuber in like the West yet. And that was the whole thing. Or they might not have had it in general. I don't remember when the term was coined, but that was their whole thing. That was funny. Oh, that was really funny. It was Mouse for you many years ago. You're also chronically ill, so she made it okay for you to try again. Yeah, yeah. I think there's a good number of people that found her early on from that kind of stuff. For sure. I've heard that a lot. Yeah. Didn't realize Rose has been streaming that long. Rose has been around for a really long time. Rose is part of the old guard. Rose, Joel. I'm trying to think of the ones that are still very active. Mouse, Zen. A good number of people that they don't do the normal VTuber thing. They're mostly still just in VR chat, but a lot of folks from VR chat. Buff was around, Yen was around. I'm saying as a VTuber with a model though, you know? Like who had a model before 2020? 2019 and prior. Really not many. That was an interesting time. Yeah, Lime's changed over to it. She did. So there were a lot of people that had content that they were doing before, but they weren't all actually using models at the time, right? You watched Miko? Yeah, Miko put a lot of attention on it. She's still very like disconnected from this side of the VTubing community. Like everyone knows of her, but she really focuses on other stuff. Sorry, I'm snacking. You watched Shoto early on? Yeah, I did too. He was a PNG, and he played League and Herbs all the time. And I would just be playing League on like my main monitor, and I'd be watching. But he was friends with a couple of people that I became friends with early on when I was like first pulled into like a Discord server and stuff. So You know, I was just like, oh, this is a friend of my friend. I'll watch them. You know? Yeah, before I watched Zen too when she was writing on a notepad. She would have it above her head or like behind her head on screen. I remember that. I remember that. It was forever ago. Bricky and Ray were your gateway because you only got into them recently. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people have said for me, they found me through, for those that didn't find me through another VTuber, but a different creator, a lot of them came here because of Vinny and Mike, or some from Saikuno, and then it's mostly during the GTA arc though. I'm trying to think like who else have people said they've come from a lot that aren't VTubers. Oh, Bounce SMP, yeah, because there were a lot of artists and such on that server. That's true. NL. No. Maybe if they saw the clip. Actually, someone came in here earlier and they're like, hey, I found you because of the NL clip. No. It's funny as hell. Chilled Chaos. When I started doing stuff with him sometimes, some people started settling in. They were like, hey, I really liked when you played bracketeering with him and you laughed at the term pussy pink. I'm gonna follow. like a bunch of those people. They're very nice. They're very, very, very nice. People kept saying GEEGA was debuting for Shoujo, so I was confused. So I joined I've been in here for what, a year and a half now? So not this past September, but the September before. Okay. And because I had friends in Shoujo before that, a bunch of people kept suspecting that every time something was happening that I was going to join. And I was like, no, because I genuinely for a long time was not considering joining, even though I was friends with them. Didn't matter, right? And then when I finally did join, they were like, what? Because they didn't think I was going to do it because I always had said until that point that I probably wouldn't. And then since then, when people join to throw the scent off, I'm like, hey, just say it's me, like, so that people stop speculating and like making it awkward for some other people that don't want to see that in the comments all the time. So now they do that as a way to,
congratulations, by the way, on being the newest VTuber in the V-Shoujo lineup.
Thanks. Is that Dochi I hear? Yeah. Is she on the playlist? Yeah. But yeah, I think I don't want to let that meme die. Because it's not about whether the joke is funny or not. It's about more people wanting to meme on that instead of sitting there and being like, I think it's this person. I think it's that. I wonder if this could, you know. Because I think speculating in a spot where creators can't see it, totally fine. But when they can see it, that can be difficult for some of them to look at. Because let's say, what if they wanted to join and it didn't work out? And then every time someone mentions the company, they just see like comments about themselves joining and they're like, oh, you know, what if they never want to join and they're just bothered by people saying it, right? There are a lot of situations where a lot of people don't love seeing it and they don't usually say it because they just feel like the more they talk about it, the more people will like mention it. So instead, if people do the meme of like, oh my God, it's GEEGA, then way fewer people are like doing the other thing. You know what I mean? So it saves a lot of them from that, which is pretty nice. Because before that, it was nothing but speculation in the comments sections and stuff. Or in Twitter replies. And it gets, for some people, I feel bad for them. It gets grating. I don't know. Surprised how big it is. Like, half the comments are always like, oh, it's going to be a king. Yeah. Yeah, I essentially am VTuber Jesus. That's right. That's right. Real and true. Real and true. Yup. Yup. You said Amelie's Mafia theme being perfect for the GEEGA joining V-Shoujo meme. Yeah, it was so funny when she sent me, so when it was revealed, you know, hey, here's who our new member's gonna be, and she's like, hey guys, it's me. She sent me a message, and she was like, I just want to say, here's my new outfit. And she sent me a picture, and she was like, I'm sorry that it's so similar. And I was like, it's not. So in silhouette, yes, but like when you when you zoom in on every detail, they're nothing alike. But I also think that's really funny, and I like that. I was like, when you put us next to each other, we look really good, so it's fine. And she was showing me, she mentioned it yesterday, but she was actually initially sketched with maybe having an eye patch, and it's on the same side as mine. She was like, oh my God, thank God I didn't do that. I thought it would have been so good. So good. Oh my God, could you imagine? Could you imagine? So there's boba stuck in your straw and you're about to crash out. You gotta, you know? Get it. Spit that shit out. Blow on it. Blow on it. It's the only way. It's the only way. You had to look up if I was in VShows or not because the beam is prolific. It's funny, man. Well, the thing is, okay. So, I wasn't a super small creator by any means when I joined. But I was the smallest that they had ever invited in who had a previous thing going on. For sure. As far as following and reach, like number of people that followed, the smallest. I don't even remember how many followers I had at the time, but like, it was the smallest, right? And what happened is, again, I wasn't even that small when I joined, but I got brought in and a bunch of people were like, who's that? And I was like, that's the point. Isn't this what you want? No, I'm not tiny. I'm not tiny for sure. I'm not a very small creator, but I was like medium, I would say. And a lot of people were like, who's that? And I was like, you better not. I'm going to say this right now. Those people better not do that when we're debuting people that are tiny. See, people did that with Nova too. They're like, I don't know who this is. And I'm like, that's the point. That's the point. Yes, exactly. Isn't it great? Woo. You know, again, I wasn't like a small creator at the time by any means, but still, I wasn't like huge and everyone knew me kind of thing. I was just known within like 1 and 2 circles maybe. But I swear to God, if they have that energy later, I'm going to be like, come on. Please. But I think it wasn't good enough because I wasn't someone with like, 30 viewers or something for that. I don't know. I don't know what they want, to be honest. Like, I think they do. I think some of them mean that. I think some of them don't, right? It's a sample of a lot of different people. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. They better bring good energy, okay? I'll be so mad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they'll complain about literally anything, can never please them. I think it's a mix. I think some people genuinely want that and they're very excited to support whomever. And I think those people are currently watching Nova, right? I think that's a good example because a lot of the people watching them are English speakers from our community that really wanted to see that. And they were like, oh my God, unknown creator, small creator, I'm excited. And they started watching. I think that number of people is the number of people that like will follow through, right? And will actually go and watch those people. It might be more when they're like full EN speaking or something like that, right? But it kind of leads me to believe that a lot of the people saying those things are also like not going to follow through and watch. The moment you give them what they want, they're going to be like, good job, and then they're going to like leave. You know what I mean? I'm like pretty certain. We'll see. We'll see. I hope that doesn't happen, but like I hope it's more than that, but we'll see. You don't know until you try, right? I like Nova, I just don't understand Nova. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, there are going to be people that are like, hey, I'm not willing to do the multilingual thing. Like, I'm not here to download an extension to translate. That's totally valid. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, debut with the company is such a godsend, though. Smaller now, the exposure alone is insane. Yeah, it is. It is and it isn't. It depends on the company. Some companies have really big reach as a company. Some companies have really big reach because their creators have reach. I think VShojo is like that. So we have members that have tons of people that care about what they do. They follow them, whatever. But I think when it comes to the decisions the company makes, we're debuting a new member, whatever, the community that cares about that over like just a specific creator that they like in the company, I think is smaller. I think other companies have more brand power where like they could put anyone out there and everyone's excited about it because they just focus on the centralized brand being the thing, right? But we're more focused on like the individuals for sure. But I think what that does is it means people might overestimate a little bit. If we debut someone out of nowhere, they might overestimate like how much attention that person's going to get. I think. Actually, I'm pretty certain they're overestimating. I've heard some people be like, yeah, you know, if I, a tiny creator, were allowed to join, it would be like, you know, I'd immediately be like at this level. And I'm like, I don't know if that's like how it works. Maybe for a day or two, but like, it's not as wide reaching as people think, in my opinion. It's not. You heard the V show just like got updated? Oh yeah, it did. It did. I think it finally went live. They were saying something to me in our chat the other day. Duolingo arc went. I'll do what Peter did. I'll get a lav mic, go hang out in other rooms, and then, you know, play Duolingo. No, I think we should. That'd be fun. That'd be fun as hell. That'd be fun as hell. You said... This is why I was confused about some of the VTubers people were speculating over. They were saying names of VTubers that were already huge. Didn't seem like they'd have a reason to join. There's still reasons to join if you're huge. It just depends on if you need it or not. It becomes like a case-by-case, individual basis. It's really, really, really hard to find people to hire if you want your own staff to help you with the things that companies tend to help you with. It's really, really hard. And even if you do, it's hard to find someone that you can hire because you're probably not trying to hire them for full time. But a lot of people won't give you 10 hours a week or whatever. They need a full-time job. So if you can't employ them full time, then the good ones are going to find work elsewhere. So you're left with a lot of people who have full-time not there, but maybe some part-time hours to give you. And those tend to be the people that are not as good at these types of things. Because the people who are good at being an assistant or being whatever, they have a job elsewhere already. And yes, and you need to trust them as well. That's really hard too. But yeah, building out your own team is so much more difficult than people think. There are all these small things that throw a wrench into it and make it, you know, really not possible for people sometimes. So a company, at least you know, these people have been in this work environment and you're okay. You're okay, you know. You know, the legal protections are more solid, etc. So someone who's huge needs more support and more of a team and more people to get stuff done, because the bigger the brand grows, the more you realize you're just one person and there's so much to get done. And it's so much more than just stream. There's so much that happens outside of stream that if you have assistants or managers or whatever working on these things, you can really, like, you know, get some opportunities worked on and done. If you don't have an assistant and you're just streaming and you spend, you know, an hour or two a day after stream, maybe even longer than that, working on these things, you're just never going to get through all of it. Not even close. So someone who's already huge would still really benefit from joining. Not people. I think people keep thinking of it as like a CCV boost. Like that's why people would join. But it's realistically, it's for the back end support, which is why I joined. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to do where I needed that. And I was like, doing this solo is horrific. This is terrible. You know, so having that is wonderful. And, you know, I had tried to find people to hire and it's just hard. It's just hard to find the right ones. So, you know, it's a big benefit. So yes, someone with a bajillion subscribers might still benefit from joining some kind of group with back-end staff because that's what they need. But I think people get so focused on the, it could give you success thing that they think that that's like the purpose of joining something like that. Is for success, but like front end visible success, like, you know, like, ooh, more followers, ooh, more viewers. That I think people focus on that way too much, but it's really not about that. You know what I mean? It's about other stuff. Oh, she. Poor guy. Poor guy. After last year, finding someone who will actually make your merch seems like a problem worth a lot to have someone else style. But yeah, oh dude, doing it as an indie is... You'll find companies that so many people have used, seem very vetted, they've done the thing to all of your knowledge, have done the thing. And then you try to work with them and you have a terrible time terrible time. It's just not it. And sometimes you don't know if you'll have a terrible time, because sometimes they would do really well with some people and not with you, right? They just drop the ball on you, or maybe they only do a good job for the bigger creators, right? Stuff like that. So it's stuff along those lines that make people really want to, have people in their corner, honestly, so they don't have to deal with that. It's really horrific. It's horrific, genuinely. There are ways that you can protect yourself from getting scammed if you take the right precautions. Like I remember I had tried to get that one studio that had that one dude who was a scammer. I was working with them to get animations, and I was fine in the end because I made sure I paid a certain way, did a couple things. I was going to be okay legally. I put stuff in place so that if they didn't deliver, I could just be like, boom, I'm fine. Some people didn't because they don't understand that stuff. And maybe if they had an assistant or a manager who was well-versed in that, they could have protected them more, but they didn't, and they got legit scammed out of a lot of money, So it's a lot of things like that like, it's rough. How much money did you lose? Zero. None. No money. That's what I was just saying. I didn't lose any money because I just set things up beforehand in a way where it wasn't possible to get scammed. But a lot of other people didn't know what to do. And since that person did intend to scam people, we think, maybe. I actually don't think it was all that. I think it was partially just incompetence and they kept running with it and it turned into a scam. But either way, it's just one of those things where a lot of people don't have the knowledge that they would need to do this. Yeah, exactly. They're inexperienced. So, it's nice. It's nice to have that staff for those people because how else would they know? And even me, even if I know how to do this, I don't want to be sitting there reviewing my contract alone all the time. There's no second pair of eyes, etc. It's nice to actually have legal staff that can look it over in case I miss something so I can be double sure that it's okay, etc., etc. Every little thing that I do, there's some contract to be looked over, right? All that kind of stuff. If I had to pay a lawyer privately to do that all the time for myself, do you know how much that costs? That's actually insane, the amount of money it costs to have my own dedicated lawyer looking over every little contract with every little company. Their hourly rates are crazy high. It's insane. So yeah, there's a really good reason to join things. Yeah. What's that? Is VShojo like Mythic? It's a different type of organization. It's a different type. It does some overlap in some ways, but the strategy is completely different and the intent with it's different. But yeah. It's rough, though, getting a lot of these things done alone. For sure. You communicated with our staff when ordering merch. They were nice and helpful, and it made you realize the value of having an org support you in the background. Yeah. Because that's the thing is we've had issues where sometimes it's not always our own people that can do it, but all of our own staff have always been like, how can I fix this? How can I help? How can I, So it's nice to just have them on the back end, because if I don't have them, then I personally am just answering people who didn't get merch. If it was like, when I was indie, I would personally have to handle it. I'd have to have someone open a mod ticket in my own Discord and go, hey, I ordered this and I never got it and I want to inquire, and they didn't answer my email. And then I'd have to go to the merch company and be like, this person with this information, this order number, never got it. Can you check on it for me? And I would have to personally do that. That sucks. And I did eventually have someone I would pay to help with that, but it's a lot of time spent on little admin work like that. It's crazy. You're hoping that Twitch Creator Guild has some resources shared in there in some way. I just got into the Discord for the it's a creator club for VTubers. I was actually just added into it so I can look at it today. I'm gonna pick through. It's nice. I mean, they have news. They have advisors in there. They have a couple people that they've kind of been like, hey, these are our founders and advisors, and they're people that are good to ask questions about this kind of stuff. So it's nice. It does look like it's a good spot for it. And then they have just a general forum in there where people can ask questions and then or anything really, and people can just dump info on them, which is nice. So I like that. I think the people need more stuff like that. People will ask their own friends questions, and that's cool, but sometimes you need a wider, a wider group of people to ask. So hopefully that helps, if a bunch of VTubers get scammed or some merch company or some animator, whatever, like, again, a situation like that, hopefully they can get the word out there a bit better. Because typically people just post on Twitter, and if you're someone who doesn't use Twitter enough, you're just not going to see it, right? So, it'll be good. It'll be good. Yeah, Blazing. Having a lawyer on retainer just means they're paid to be available to do work to you for you, which you also have to pay for. Not cheap. Yeah. It doesn't help that much. Just a little bit. It's helpful to consolidate under a third party via Twitch too. Yeah, because a lot of people make VTuber help servers and things, but they moderate based off of like vibes, and someone will be like, oh, this dude, I don't like this dude because he said this thing and I'm uncomfortable with him, and then someone will like kick that guy from the server and blah blah blah. It becomes a lot of that, but then one that's kind of centralized under this umbrella seems like you have to be like heinous to get removed. So I actually like that. I like that it's it's really hard to do that. Right? People are just hanging out no matter what. What did you say? You hire a talent agency, a corpo hires you? That's a generalization. I don't agree. Some corpos are like that. Some of them, you still hire them. Shoujo's like that. Like people get the lines blurred. They're also not definitions. Calling something a talent agency versus calling it a corpo isn't like that's not anything legal. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's just people categorizing. The way they operate, it's like we hired them. Yeah. The way they do things. Suppose I mean in the Hololive sense. Yeah, that's the thing is like the word corpo. I think it's not a real definition. So some people might interpret that as including certain groups, and some might interpret that meaning others. There are a lot of people that get really confused with our company, and they think that we can do certain things that we can't, or they think the company rather can do certain things that they can't. People constantly are like, did they ask you to say that? In my YouTube comments, they're like, they asked her to say this, and I'm like, that they legally cannot. They literally cannot. I'm in the group, I'm telling you, they cannot. That's not possible. I have to re-explain all the time because I think they conflate it with other corpos where they can. And yeah, no, there's nothing like that. So there are obviously like internally there's suggestions made, but they're suggestions. They can't actually be like, you can and cannot do this. Know what I'm saying? So. Is it originally from the Cyberpunk 2020 board game from the 90s? I don't think so. I think people have always used it as a short thing for corporation. I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question. Yeah, they lightly present as a sort of idle corp like it, so some people might prescribe those behaviors to feature unfairly. Yeah, exactly. I think it's all in the marketing, the branding, the PR, right? But the only thing we could do is like post on Twitter constantly and be like, don't forget, we operate like this. Or people like me can just clarify anytime it's brought up. By the way, it works like this. But whatever. Your words challenge their worldview, so the only possibilities that they forced you. Dude, yeah. There's been a lot of that recently. Oh my god. So many people assuming things because it just doesn't fit whatever they think in their head. Like constantly. Constantly. One of us will say something and they'll be like, oh, yeah, I bet the staff stepped in. And I'm like, they can't. They can suggest. They can't make, right? You don't say, yeah. You want me to collab with Legal about contracts and contract law? He can ask me questions, but like, nah. I am knowledgeable about the topic through my own experience. I'm not a subject matter expert at all. You know what I mean? So when I talk about this stuff, I can comfortably talk about what I've dealt with personally, but I'm not someone who's going to know every little, I wouldn't say I have very wide knowledge on it, just really good specific knowledge in the stuff I've done. Does that make sense? You said the Vishoja model's been explained regularly and exhaustively since 2020. How's there still a constant stream of people that get it completely wrong? Because they don't watch streams. That's it. They don't watch streams, or they watch one clip. I'll tell you how it telephones. I'll tell you the biggest source of it. Someone says something. One of us tweets about it or says a thing on stream or whatever. Another creator watches it and gives their opinion about it, either on Twitter or in a YouTube video or on their own stream or whatever. People then get their source of information from that second person. The problem is that second person who watched our thing and then gave their opinion often has a lot of negative bias. Because a lot of the people that get the most views or attention when they talk about those things are people who use it to drama farm, or that's their content, right? Is they just talk about what's going on in the VTuber world, and the content that does the best is when you focus on the negative, right? So those people, not all of them, but some of them have really big negative bias toward not just like our company, but a lot of different companies all have their pockets of people that do that. And then people hear about things through that because those people usually make these issues bigger than they need to be, or they spread them wider. And then a lot of their fan bases are people that also are like looking for that. So that's where a lot of the misunderstandings come from. And then someone who's like not looking for the negative, but it's just presented to them. I think this, blah, blah, blah. They just see one tweet and they're like, oh, I guess me too. Right? That's the first they've heard of it. So, that's happened a lot. And that's just kind of how it is. Some of them are really well-meaning too. Some of them are just trying to comment on a thing, but they end up with a lot of those viewers that are like looking for the negative, and it, their comment section ends up being that no matter what. That's just how it is. It's the nature of things, and really all you can do is ignore it, and then just if someone comes into your own space or chat, whatever, and asks something, you just clarify. That's it. That's it. You said I always look at accounts of people that don't get it and they have no interaction with anything Vishojo other than that one tweet. It's the case with like every VTuber, every company, every content creator that has like, you see someone come in hot. A lot of the time it's either someone who is in the same space that is like not as successful and they've just made it their life's work to like be annoying, or it's an account with no followers and it's like either a burner or it's just like some guy's complaint account. A lot, not always, but a lot of the time. Not the ones that constructively criticize. I mean the ones that are coming in like hot, for sure. Happens a lot. You think drama farmers are all people filled with confirmation bias? The evidence shows that is the case, typically. Yeah. I think there's a lot of that. But, at the same time, when you have your own community that will sit there and listen to you talk and hear you out, it's very easy to ignore that, to be honest. You saw someone write an essay on Twitter about visual auditions? I just don't read it. I don't read it. Because the thing is, I would love to sit there and go through someone's points and clarify and be like, actually, it's this. But I think either number one, they don't want to hear it. They don't want their opinion changed. They're not open to it. Number two, I can't say a lot of those things. I'd be giving them NDA information that I shouldn't give, or there's also a lot of info on how things work that isn't even NDA, like I legally could. I just don't think it's a good idea, right? I feel like personally, the more information we give, the more specifics we give, the more people will cherry pick. This is the case with any creator, with any of you guys, anything, any internal business politics that you have to deal with, whatever. I feel like this is always the case. When you give more specifics, they find more specific things to grab and then try to spin or to try and refute and act like they're part of the conversation, right? And yeah, they're usually operating in bad faith. Exactly. So, you know, it'd be nice to maybe go and be like, oh, actually this, actually that, but it's literally futile, right? There's literally no point. You can't do anything. So I just ignore it, and then I like get here and we talk about meta shit because it's nice to talk about. It's fun. Right? Because we just like talking here. That's really it. But I won't do that like on Twitter and stuff. You know? Finer hairs get split and smaller straws get grasped. Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then when you try to circle people back and you're like, hey, you're focusing on specifics, let's go back to the topic at hand, they're like, you're ignoring me, you're running, you know? It's those people. So it's not worth it, man. Not at all. Not at all. It's not impossible, but it's getting harder to get actual videos that talk about video games themselves and what's going on the business side that impacts development. So much outrage content to sift through first. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This isn't like a VTuber thing. This isn't a VShojo thing. This is a content thing in general. The news, just the normal news is like that too. If you're just like, can you give me a list chronologically of everything that happened? No one does that, right? No news source does that. They're like, here's the most sensational thing. People keep talking about really sensational things. They go, let's report on it 5 more times. Why not? Right? So you got to like step back, try to take your emotion out of it for a second and look at what you're reading or what you're watching and be like, is this constructive? Do I need this? You know, take a step back if you got it, for sure. It's impossible to argue with an idiot. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I'll still engage with it a little bit. If someone comes here and wants to ask me a question, they're wondering about this thing, if people want to comment somewhere and I've replied to it, like, I'm still open to it because I also don't want to make a space where, like, people can't disagree with me. That's bad, too. I think that turns things into what we were just talking about, right? It turns people into that. So we could do whatever. People can criticize. It's all fine. But they just got to keep it chill. That's all. They got to keep it chill and not get heated. Yeah, outrage brings clicks. Clicks is money. Yeah, I think everything is money. I think everything is money, right? At the end of the day. For sure. A lot of outlets presume that you've read their last article without giving you a recap. Oh, I know. You have to like sift through shit all the time. I don't like it. So you think it might be worthwhile to publish on the official Twitter after debuting if they're from auditions or not, so people don't speculate unless you want to keep that metric private, which then you just got to deal with people? I mean, we literally, we talked about it beforehand, and we kind of decided, like, we all spoke about it, and Amma was like, yeah, I'm going to make sure I say while I'm debuting, like during that stream, right up front, right as I'm debuting, I'll make sure I'll specify, and I'll put it in a reply to myself on Twitter as well, that, you know, I'm not from auditions. I was scouted, and it was well before the auditions like even happened. And we were like, okay, yeah, that's good. That way you're saying it up front. Not before the debut, not after the debut, during it, right? We did that. And people, of course, still like, yeah, didn't watch, didn't read. So there's some people that are demanding it. It's really funny because there's some people that are like, why can't they just put out something saying that she wasn't? And I'm like, it taps the sign, you know, points at the clip of her saying it, points at the tweet. Right? I don't, what can you do, right? Like, you literally can't do anymore. I don't know, man. And the thing is, there are people that are like, well, what are they doing in the future? I can't tell you. You know what I mean? Just wait. I promise it'll be good, but I can't tell you. Obviously, I can't tell you, you know? But I promise it'll be cool. But like I said, when things happen in the future, people better not be doing what they're doing now. Okay? They'll be like, you've never looked at a small creator, and I'll be like, you know, points at Nova. You've never done it. You better not ignore people in the future is all I'm saying. Okay? I swear to God. I swear to God. Or there were people that they were like, they only hire whatever, and they would like leave me out of the lineup. You know how many times I saw people go like, track record, and they would point out a couple people and they would leave my name out because I didn't fit the I didn't fit the exact argument they were trying to make. Stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens in the future. Some of those posts, they replied to themselves saying, I don't care what they said, I'm standing by my statement, I won't be silenced. Why don't people just chill out? They could spend that time, they could like open Animal Well and go find eggs, you know what I'm saying? Like it's time to log off. It'll never not be funny, but like, come on, man, you know, like just like, hey, Risk of Rain is right there. Think of all, guys, think of all of the unplayed games in your Steam list, in your library. Think of all the games you haven't gotten through. If you ever feel, if you're on Twitter, you're on YouTube, you start typing and you feel yourself getting a little like, you know, getting invested, close your eyes and think of your Steam library and be like, oh shit, and go open Steam and start playing something. All right, it's just, you know, not worth your time, man. It's time. Now I'm saying, Virgo, think of the raid. Dead cells. Yeah. Think of all the Balatro achievements you didn't get. It's time. It's time. All right. That's what you gotta do. That's what you gotta do. I think everyone here gets that. Let's be honest. We're preaching to the choir, right? We know that. We're just collectively preaching to each other. You'll be getting into Dwarf Fortress. I wish I liked it more. I wish I liked it more. I don't know. It's one of those games that I kept thinking I would like more. I remember playing a little bit of the ASCII version, and I just didn't like it that much. I just didn't. I like it in concept, but I didn't feel the desire to keep opening the game, right? Like I just didn't reach for it. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I didn't play it and while playing it think, wow, I hate this game, but I just didn't want to open it back up later. I don't know. Which game? Dwarf Fortress. Wasn't for me. Have you tried adventure mode? Yeah. I reopened it a couple times to try and like, you know, see how I feel, but it just didn't do it for me. Didn't do it for me one bit. Multiple times last year, you wish you followed that advice. Oh, to just disengage? Yeah. I'm telling you, man, anytime you're getting invested in anything, you think about your poor, cold, and alone Steam library. Think about the games you haven't played, right? I have, actually, it's a good habit to get into. When you are doing that thing, you're like, open Twitter, scroll, open YouTube, scroll, like, don't click on anything. Open this, scroll, look at phone, scroll. Make a Steam list. You can make lists in Steam of games in your library. Put games in it that are just, you know, priority backlog, like 2 or 3. And when you catch yourself doing that, just go there and open it. Just open one of them. Okay? And just replace a habit with a habit. And, you know, it's better to spend 3 hours gaming than 3 hours doom scrolling and, like, not absorbing anything. Okay? Just do it. It's for you. It's for you. What about my doom scrolling time? Don't do it. Don't do it. If it's like memes and something that makes you happy, go ahead, right? Or it's informational. You're on TikTok and you're just watching some guy talk about how to make a thing and you're like, wow, that's how crayons are made? That's crazy. You know, like, whatever, that's fine. But if you keep doing that thing where you're like opening stuff and not even doing anything, it's Steam time. It's just Steam time. Okay? And speaking of Steam, I want to play a game. We've ranted long enough. I want to play a game. I have 2 options. I'm going to present you 2 options. Which game? I can't type. Which game? Either we try Tyrant's Realm. We haven't tried it yet. It is PS1 graphics. Beautiful. It is Souls-like. It is a roguelike. Roguelite. or 9 souls. Second highest voted game yesterday. First highest was Animal Well, which we ended. We finished. Well, we finished as much as we're going to stream, probably. And this is the next voted down one. And a lot of people were like, hey, you have to play it. It's a bit more Metroidvania looking. Or, not I was saying Metroid. Side scroller, right? Pick between the two of which you want to watch today. Charlie loved the heck out of 9 Souls. A lot of my friends said the same. They were like, hey, it's just good. So what's good about it? It feels good to play. That was it. Poll is right there. It's right there. It's up for a minute. But yeah, both look like bangers. I would gladly play either one, so just vote. Just vote on which you'd rather see. One of you brought up a good thing. We were talking about social media before. You said, my problem is most of the fun content on the internet transitioned into video. You enjoyed when there were more fun text-based sites other than social media. I agree. We kind of don't have that anymore. We do if you follow certain Twitter accounts or things like that, and you only follow those, and you only look at things from the people you're following. Like, you can find it, but you have to curate it really hard. And it's also kind of just Twitter. Ooh, 63%. Okay, we'll do 9 Souls. We'll do that. What do you? There we go. It's a deep cut and great take I hadn't thought of. Yeah, no, they make a really good point. Reddit's your last bastion of text-based web. Yeah, and I mean, Reddit has like its own issues. I'm not like a big user of it. I certain, maybe some subreddits, I think it's good for maybe looking up like a tech question sometimes, but I don't open the front page and scroll, you know, like I do not. And even then I like barely use it nowadays. And if I do, it's not so much text-based, it's mostly just certain subreddits that have like, they're image-based, you know? Meme sharing and stuff. Like, that's really all I look at anymore. Because I found like, yeah, you say Reddit is an echo chamber. I think everything is an echo chamber. Counterpoint, I don't think you can avoid that. But it's more apparent nowadays. Yeah. It's more apparent than it used to be, for sure. I feel like the issue is that the whole site has more of an identity as a whole site. Whereas it used to be like subreddits had more of their own identities and they didn't have as much crossover. Does that make sense? I think actually the more people were in their own little pockets on that site, the better it was, your experience. And now that more people are crossing between all these different popular subreddits and then they're bleeding out into these less popular ones, you're getting more of these like people that are very like just meta Reddit heads, you know? and they're existing everywhere, and it's getting hard to like use the site at all. I just don't. But yeah, I think a lot of things get like that over time. They do. Yeah, they ruined Reddit. They ruined the website. I don't know. I think, ooh, it's so loud, this game. At the end of the day, you can't replace real people. Go talk to people on Discord or something. I don't know. You can't replace it. People in your life, I mean. And people that are part of a community you're part of. And that's kind of why a lot of people have been... Ooh, game sounds. They've been very focused on streamers and streamers communities, and that's where a lot of people have been fitting in. Because it's one of the places where you can still find something that's a bit more niche. Texas sniped the wrong person. Whips. Okay.